All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ward Radio live stream. I am your host, Cardin Ellis, and today I'm joined in the studio by Brittany the Shadow, as well as via Zoom by Killer Cast of friends here. We got Luke Hansen, editor-in-chief of Ward Radio News. We got Brad Whitbeck, star of the show wherever he goes, and the associate professor of all things apocryphal, Ward librarian Jonah Barnes. And today we've got a really interesting topic at hand. There's a new docuseries coming out. It's been announced for Easter 2025 called Religion Business, or The Religion Business. All right. And it's taken a jab, it looks like, at church finances in North America. So we're going to analyze, is this hard-hitting journalism? Taking a look into what members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a.k.a. Mormons, would condemn, rightfully so, along with the documentary filmmakers, Priestcraft. Is this a hard-hitting expose on North American priestcraft, or is this a cynical hit piece? Is this going to be muckraking? Are these people going to follow Anti-Mormon rule number 7 and try and co-opt other churches' problems? We don't know, but we're going to take a look at a lot of the social media of this page. It looks like these guys are prolific and they really know how to actually pub their own stuff. I give them huge credit. And before we get started, we're all going to be coming to this with a bunch of baggage from other things and so on and so forth. We do say to the filmmakers, you are invited to come on this show anytime. We'd love to talk shop on this subject anywhere. And Brad, you look like you're jumping out of your seat. What do you want to say, my man? I can see you there.
Oh, okay. So what were the two options you gave us? Is this going to be
hard-hitting journalism or just a hit piece?
Why not both?
Hey, ¿por qué no los dos?
Sí, ¿por qué no los dos?
Hey.
I am going to be fascinated to see where it goes, because I think the way that they have edited it is really well done, and the way that they have everything set up looks like it could be very hard-hitting journalism. I wonder if they will have enough bias that they lump together all faith groups equally, right? And treat anything as any religion that has any money coming toward it is definitely bad, right? Because I can't tell if they're going to be that way based on just the trailers that I've seen and the stuff I've seen them posting on their Instagram, right? I can't quite tell.
I don't know. I saw they're going through Tooele with a camera. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to do a secret camera on an open house. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it makes me think that, like, okay, look, I'm a documentary filmmaker. Okay, I've got my leaf. You know what I'm saying? We won some film festivals with a documentary I did in 2017. I know it's really hard to put a documentary together. I have nothing but respect for documentary filmmakers. Okay. But I mean, there are times where sometimes you're trying to make something out of nothing. I'm a showman. Look, I know what it's like to be 5 minutes before you have to go live on a morning show and have no prep, and it's a slow news day. And you don't know what to do.
What are you talking about? Ward Radio always. We never jump into something with low prep. I mean, that's not us at all. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Never once.
I was actually talking about actual terrestrial radio at FM 98.1. I wasn't talking about on this show, but sure.
Right, yeah.
You know, exactly. So anyway, I don't know. Did you see them going through Tooele? It seemed like there's plenty of deep questions that can be asked about the tax code and whether or not 501c3s should be receiving the level of taxation or lack thereof that they do. I think it's a great conversation that should be had politically. However, sometimes it's not a conversation and it just ends up being a hit piece full of all kinds of politically motivated and or socially motivated commentary, and it's uninteresting. So
it did raise one really burning question for me that I think we need to answer right now, and that is, have you liked and subscribed?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I
That's
need to
a
know.
Great thought.
I need to know if everyone watching right now has liked and subscribed.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true.
I literally haven't liked. Actually, I need to like the stream.
I hadn't either.
Yeah, thank you. And
gotcha.
speaking of which, if you guys have any comments that you want to give, please make sure that you give them in form of super chat You know what I'm saying? Which, by the way, that is not lost on me. The irony of collecting super chats in the live stream. You know what I'm saying?
I can't believe these grifters. Anyways, be sure to leave a tip.
Buy a super chat. You know what I'm saying?
Our Venmo is this.
Yeah. So anyway, we always have a policy on this live stream that if you guys have a comment that you want to make, as long as it's appropriate and germane to the conversation, we do our best to try and read it out loud. So please just send us a super chat. We also try and read as often as we can members' comment. So if you join the Ward Radio Wigwam, the Ward Radio Warship, we would love to read your comment. So before we get started, I will bring just my little piece of this puzzle to the table to start out with. I would like to celebrate before we start talking about North American church finances. Let's talk a little bit about our own. And I have one request, please. Let's stop calling whistleblowers. Let's stop calling whiners whistleblowers. And that actually comes from a little piece we have here from ABC Ford. They made an announcement recently. They made an announcement in the past couple of weeks. Here it goes.
We're awaiting a federal judge's decision on whether or not to toss out a lawsuit against the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Former and current members are accusing the church of tithing fraud.
Now, this all goes back to 2019 when a whistleblower raised alarms over potential tax fraud and diverting money.
Oh, so a whistleblower. A whistleblower raised alarms about a potential tax fraud. Yeah, tax fraud. Wasn't trying to manipulate the code of whistleblowers to try and make an easy buck.
You can just like throw out an accusation that is completely false and fails in court, and yet you still get called a whistleblower.
Yeah, yeah.
Like how does that work? You're just like, oh, tax fraud.
To be fair,
like, no,
he hadn't been thrown out of court yet.
Right.
Well, anything?
We might ask what happened to this case. And I actually pulled it up on the screen right here. According to even Anti-Mormon, Salt Lake Tribune, LDS Church prevails as federal appeals court tosses out James Huntsman tithing lawsuit. And in the church-owned, but not necessarily church-operated, Deseret News, you have unanimous Ninth Circuit panel dismisses Huntsman tithing lawsuits. Church responds. So they're batting 100 on this thing so far.
And Luke, what court was it that rejected this?
I don't know.
The Ninth Circuit. It's the most liberal one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. In San Francisco, right?
I know it's based in Northern California. I don't know what the exact boundaries are, but I've been to the Ninth Circuit Court, and it's the court that all of the Democrats always rush to whenever they want to get an injunction against Republicans. And that's like there's that 11th court in Florida or wherever it is, or down in San Diego. I can't remember where it is, but there's always the court that all the Republicans jump to whenever they want to get an injunction against against Democrats. Brad?
Dude, on this one, it's so wild to me. Like I thought for certain in the Ninth Circuit Court, he would have at least somebody who went against their ethics and was like, you know what? I hate the church bad enough that I'm going to say that you've got a case, right? 0 dissenting opinions, 11-0, totally thrown out, right? Like
it's like legally it's entirely unworkable because what it means is that anytime somebody doesn't like something they contributed to they are allowed to get their money back.
It's absurd
to get their money back. It makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
It opens up a completely ridiculous legal can of worms if that precedent is sad.
Well, also, guys, I want to jump in. I want to jump in with some receipts. Do you recognize this in front of you?
Walmart?
A tithing slip?
Yes.
Oh, it's been ages since I had a physical paper one.
Yes, I know. It actually,
bless you, Brad.
It actually took a long time for me to find because not too hard for me because having received cash tips for some of my jobs, I'm a Chippendales dancer. Having received cash tips for some of my jobs, I was one of the only guys that still paid via check. In fact, the last time I gave my last bishop a check with a tithing slip, he literally said, "Why are you doing this, bro? You're like one of two people that actually," he's like, "I have to stay after church and I have to have a witness that shows that he's like, is there any way you could do this online, man? You know?"
Yes. So, can I add to this, please? I'm currently in a bishopric.
Okay.
We are the only church in the world that, like, we try to dodge out of the building before people give us donations. Like, we don't want donations. Like, people give you any kind of a slip, you're like, oh, son of a gun. And you're in the hallway, you see the other counselor, and you're like, "Did you get any?" And he's like, "No." And you're like, "Yes, let's go home."
Yeah.
Like, you got to go home, you know? We're the only
home.
church that's like, you know, and we tell, like, so Brad, when you said you paid online, bless you for paying online. Look, anybody listening to this, if you're still paying with a paper check, put your name in the chat and your license plate number. I'm coming to slash your tires. Stop paying with a check.
Jonah,
pay online.
What do you
It's
say
horrible.
to primary kids when they bring you like nickels and dimes and quarters?
Just save it, pay it all at once when you get a checking account when you're 18. Just one
And he
lump
slashes
sum.
their tires too.
That's
Yeah,
right.
he's
Those
like, "Give me your
tricycles,
BMX, kid.
slashes.
Give me your BMX here. I'm going to take an ice pick to your little Huffy."
Yeah, but think about that. There's we don't want, like, we're trying to avoid donations, right? From people. Like, people act like there's some kind of like social pressure, like everyone's looking at you to make sure you pay your tithing. That is, the opposite is true. Like, there's nobody who's like, hey, come on, you got to get on that. It's the end of the month. Like, that doesn't happen in our church. The impression outside the church is so reverse. It's so backward.
I agree with you. And one of the proofs is actually on here. From the very minute this lawsuit came out, I knew there was no way it held water. And I knew he was an absolute just lying POS, because what was the main claim? The main claim of his, do you remember, Brad? Luke, what was the exact main claim that he was making? Summarized in one sentence.
That they said that they were a charity, but they weren't, would probably be the way to put it.
He was saying that, they were using they were using tithing on things I don't approve. I didn't approve the West Creek Mall. I didn't approve X, Y, or Z thing. Like, when I donate, I want it to go towards
You're
my
so
things.
Californian. The City Creek Mall.
Oh yeah, whatever it is. The good investment, I call it. Literally, the good long-term investment.
It actually was, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of,
saved downtown Salt Lake.
it saved downtown Salt Lake, and now the church is actually charging the secularists and the pagans. Like, that's just awesome. Instead of the pagans charging the church, now it's the church charging the secularists and the pagans.
Brilliant.
To me,
Brilliant.
yeah, it's awesome. But there was a really, really great comment here made by Tom Shailefarth. Wow, that's almost as bad as that Shafalov guy up in Utah. Yeah, he said, "You really can't play the greed game with the restored church. A few full-time people receive normal-sized salaries, and literally everything else goes to either direct expenses or long-term investment, like the City Creek Mall is the layman's term for this wording that has been on tithing slips since 1990. I looked up the copyright. It literally says copyright 1990, and this one is from 2012. So I have a 12-year-old tithing slip, a tithing slip that predates his lawsuit by a decade. If I'm not mistaken, probably even predates the City Creek Mall itself, right?
That's older than Brad.
Actually, that is, yeah. And Carden, you're assuming that he's been to church in that time.
Yes, exactly. So here's what it says. Do you know what it says on the tithing slip? I dug up the oldest tithing slip I could find in my house. The oldest one. Do you know what it says, Brad? And you guys, have you ever read the small print on the bottom? Okay, first it says, it says checks, currency, or coin, back when you could like actually pay in coin. And this was before they got rid of in-kind donations too. So it says like other parentheses specify, like back when you could like pay the church in chickens.
Yeah.
I found out one of my bishops got paid in pears one time. There was a pear farmer that harvested pears and like came in with a bunch of pears. And he said he didn't know what to do. So he just said, "You're a full tithe payer, bro. You're a full tithe payer." And he gave out the pears. You know what I said? He just gave out the pears to people in the congregation. But this is what it says. It says, "Though reasonable efforts will be made to use donations as designated," for example, if you put it in general missionary, ward missionary, humanitarian, aid, fast offering, tithing, whatever. Though reasonable efforts will be made to use donations as designated, all donations become the church's property and will be used at the church's sole discretion to further the church's overall mission. So, for example, if an atom bomb is dropped in Mongolia and the church wants to divert funds from, tithing for, Japanese and Croatian temple building, or the mission fund for Argentine translated scriptures or whatever, if they're short on cash in a humanitarian fund, they can divert those funds wherever they please to help out those poor people that are struggling from atomic warfare in Mongolia, because that is indeed their donation. And you literally sign off on this. Every time you use this slip, which was the only way you could donate to the church for literally decades and decades and decades. Every time you gave, you saw this slip. You knew the deal. There's no way a reasonable person could come away thinking otherwise. And guess what?
Oh, come on. No one reads the small print of anything.
Well, yeah, especially people.
I think we should.
Dare I say they're lazy learners?
In court, I would say, yeah.
Dare we say they're lazy learners? Yeah. And so this is why, this is why even in the episode, the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals finds, quote, no reasonable juror would believe allegations that the faith misrepresented how it spent money. The Anti-Mormon newspaper in the liberal, social progressive, we hate the Mormon church since Prop 8 court literally said no reasonable juror could
by the legal decision. So let's think about that for a second. Let's consider all of the anti-Mormon argument people who were psyched about Huntsman's lawsuit, who were thinking that he had a chance with this. I think the Ninth Circuit Court effectively just said none of them would be reasonable jurors.
Brutal.
By extension.
That's a good point.
And I do just want to read the current, and thank you for reminding me I didn't do fast offerings on Sunday, so I'm doing it right now.
Online, it better be online, Luke.
Oh, it is. I'm just saying the current online tithing slip says all donations to the church are free will offerings and become the church's property. In furtherance of its overall mission, the church may shift donations from any designated use to other uses at its sole discretion. Basically the exact same wording from 2012 or even 1990 till 2025.
Yeah, and the thing that kills me most about this is look, dude, you are missing the point of tithing. If you think you can go off and do a lawsuit because the church didn't use it the way you wanted it to. I really, really appreciate the way James Goldberg put this. He is a really cool Latter-day Saint guy. We should have him on the show sometime. He's also Sikh. But the way he put this was, guys, the church could literally take every cent I've ever donated and light it on fire in front of me, and it would not matter. I give my tithing for the Lord. I give 1/10 of my increase because it's a donation to God, and it's up to the church to do with it whatever they will. I don't care anymore. That's a great way to approach it.
Which
You're totally right.
What would happen in the temple is they would bring the offerings and it would get burned in front of them.
Yes.
In ancient times.
Oh,
I mean, and then eaten by the temple priests, different parts for different stuff, but
It's true.
same idea.
Yeah.
Said the concept was to take your property, to put it in front of something, and then have it destroyed in front of you and taken away. And that was your gift to the Lord.
okay.
Now everybody make
It's
sure.
this thing called sacrifice that our modern society does not care about at all.
What the ancient people understood is you need to find the highest ideal and sacrifice to that thing.
Keep going, bro. Don't stop. That was the best Jordan Peterson
Don't
I've
eat
ever seen
bread.
pull off.
Just
Add
eat
in
cows.
Say buckle.
So I can't remember the guy that posted it, whether it was Allred or a dude named Joshin or what. But I took a screenshot of a really, really great tweet. I'm trying to look it up right now on X, where he basically said, "Look, the purpose of tithing was like the purpose of fasting is to like eschew the natural man. The purpose of tithing is sacrifice to eschew consumerism." And then he lists all of like the different things and the different practices that we do as members of the church, and said like, look, these all eschew some kind of vice on the other side, right? I'm going to look it up while we're watching this trailer. But any thoughts before we now pivot to the religion business, to see if this is going to be another Huntsman hit piece wannabe thing, or is this going to be a video going up against some of the priestcraft that we have lamented in a lot of other faiths of North America as well? What do you think, Brad? I see you want to say something.
Okay, just one last thing on this guy being an altruistic whistleblower. Do you guys know how much money he stood to make if he was found like correct on this? If the courts ruled in favor of him?
I think it was 10% of what he was claiming, which was hundreds of millions. So he was poised to make 20 or 30 million, correct?
Yeah, so this guy, he was purely altruistically motivated, right? Like there was no other reason to be involved in this at all.
Now, with that said, sorry, babe.
I was going to say, also, how would he prove in court that the money he donated went to the mall or whatever his gripe was? Once you put it in a pool, you can't track where your money's going. So how does he know what project his money went to? How could he have proven that?
He doesn't have any clue.
He's a huntsman. He's used to just what he says goes.
He must have thought about that. Like, how am I going to prove that this money went to this project?
So we're actually going to talk about this later in the stream. We're going to watch a trailer. Everybody make sure you like and share the stream with somebody who would be interested in it, because it's going to be informative, and it's also going to be funny. We've got memes coming up, and we're going to dig into the new Widow's Mite report for year ending 2024 on the church's finances. And it's going to show exactly what Brittany's asking about. Brittany's saying, wait, how do you know your money is going to this mall or that mall? And actually, funny thing, we know exactly where the streams of money go, and we're going to show you that later in the stream. So make sure you like, everybody, and we can get to this. We can get to this trailer. It's a great question. Keep it at the tip of your brain.
Can you be keepers of the chats, babe, this time around? I think I saw a couple of super chats come through. We'll check out this trailer, and then we'll go straight to the super chat. So anyway, without any further ado, here is the Instagram profile of a new upcoming film called Religion Business. 190K followers on Instagram, and their YouTube profile is not as large. Obviously, YouTube is a different kind of demographic and a different kind of way of watching video content and so on and so forth. And only sporting about 1.12K subs, but has almost 1 million views. The following trailer.
It's well done. Now, can we play it in a? Are we allowed to play this without copyright? We might have to put it in a smaller screen for everybody watching. I don't know what the rules are, but we're going to play it for you so you can see it. Why would you get mad if somebody played your trailer? First of all, like,
if there's copyrighted music. So we might on occasion just pause for copyright for a second. But anyway, here we go. Here is the Religion Business Docuseries.
From an investigator standpoint, you're looking at what drives this machine.
Yeah.
Really slick, right?
Yeah. So it's
Looks
cool.
good.
So it's cool from the outset. Here we go.
And what drives a machine so often is tithes.
Tithing is a test. He gave his son, and you want to argue about 10%.
Oh boy, that's not a good.
Yeah. Not a good look for the North American church, but hey, Mike Winger does it. Alan Parr does it. There's a lot of anti-Mormons out there that do it.
There was a temple in there. Did you see the temple?
Yes, they try. Now, see, what's kind of funny is we're the only church that actually makes beautiful buildings still. So if you want to try and show that, like, you know, there's something big and beautiful, but not opulent, but something big and beautiful, you have to use the LDS church. Because
it's a little opulent.
We got just a little, right?
Only
You know
in
what
the
I'm
good
saying?
sense of the word, though, right?
Yeah,
Tasteful.
exactly. So anyway, we keep going with religion business.
We've got about 1.8 million nonprofits registered with the IRS today. Over 4 trillion in assets.
You have the for-profit world, you have the nonprofit world, and inside that nonprofit world, you have religious nonprofits or churches.
Which, by the way, was not what the tax code intended when it was started, and we'll get to that later.
You stop people from taking the money out of the organization to the people who are controlling it.
Greetings, Father. I've come to request an indulgence for my mother.
Speaking of
Is
which,
that a reenactment they're doing? That's kind of weird.
It's gotta be.
yeah. Speaking of which, we condemn indulgences. So did Martin Luther. However, the top tier of Ward Radio's membership program, it goes celestial, telestial, terrestrial, and then the most that you could give to join the channel. Because when YouTube asked me, and I've seen anti-Mormons, they lose their shite on this. They literally lose their crap on this. I literally titled it "Straight Up Indulgences" for $129 a month, which is the maximum YouTube allows you. And I thought, if there's some rich boomer out there who wants to give me $129 with zero priesthood power behind it and with no backing, I will call it an indulgence just for fun. And the hilarious part is I knew it would drive them nuts, and they totally took the bait. Not a single person has signed up. I'm not offering indulgences, and they do not see past the straight up indulgences. I thought it was so funny. And the wild thing was how historically illiterate a lot of people were. Like, there was two things that surprised me: how many anti-Mormons thought I was serious, and then also how many people didn't know what that was. Like, just it was actually wild. So I've thought about changing it, but it's too fun, especially when talking about this video series. So we continue with the trailer.
Within the church, is tithing voluntary or is it compulsory? Does a 990 tell you how much equipment they have?
They have $111 million worth of aircraft.
Which should be used for something better, like paramilitary service in foreign countries that aren't respecting Christians.
You got to drop the tanks. You got to drop the artillery out of something.
Hellfire missiles.
Yeah.
I am all on board with Hellfire missiles.
Wait.
What?
No.
Do you have something to say, or can I just keep going, Brad?
Oh, you guys were just... I
thought you were just saying wait,
go...
so we get better aim in the crosshairs.
No,
you know what I'm saying? We don't want to waste
the list.
The biggest bang
you guys
for
were
a buck.
just getting us on.
Oh, okay.
Brad's on the same page.
We do not
on the
endorse
same list now.
Religious factional violence from military surplus equipment purchased through tithing dollars. So here we keep going.
We do not want this church or any other church destroyed or intimidated by the government.
Which is true. However, we all participate in good governance. So we're going to ask some of these deeper questions later.
Yo, buddy.
Got a text message from a mega church pastor out of Minnesota.
Mac would be interested in sitting down with us and having a conversation.
That's huge. We'll
go get them. Go get the mega churches.
We'll drop everything and fly up to them.
The informant brought revival capital of the world to our attention.
They have an estimated net assets of $265 billion.
That's gotta be us.
That's gotta be us.
That's gotta be us.
That was like a Catholic church that it was showing.
Yeah.
But that's gotta be us.
Yeah.
Weird
Gotta be
editing,
us.
but
make it a trillion.
Make it a trillion.
I know.
Let's see those hashtags, people. Come on.
It starts with
I have a
accountability.
question for you, actually.
No, we're not going to answer your question.
No, my question is,
you answer our question.
Where is Wisdom Heights?
I need to go.
Whoa, did you just flash your gun?
Hey, Lauren. We might be having a rescue. She needs safety for the daughter. The daughter is not safe.
So people are donating, and it's going to silence her right there.
Ooh.
Okay, I'm going to be honest about that. Please little police scene, it sounded like they were fishing for something to make it more dramatic than it actually was.
Did you just flash your
The
gun at me?
police are just standing there, and they're like, whoa, don't do anything, man. Like,
As a
"Dude, I'm
Second
just
Amendment
standing here."
enthusiast, it only made the churchgoer more innocent in my eyes. It only made me like him more. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Like I think they were definitely trying to like, oh, let's up the ante on this one. We want to put it in the trailer, act like something crazy's happening.
You have to though, babe. That's babe.
Oh.
Sorry.
Whoa.
Babe's over here. You know, bro. Although that might have been a Freudian slip, Luke.
Oh,
you know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
hey.
So, anyway, you gotta up the ante though. You gotta up the ante.
True.
Brad's like just hanging his head. You know, you gotta up the ante. You gotta increase the stakes. You know, it's all about the primordial. Oh no. So anyway, we keep going. Here we go. Let's get through the trailer.
Did he have HIV?
I'm pushing away. I mean, I'm trying to hold on to my dress.
He told me not to tell anyone, especially my husband.
Okay, it says good intentions.
My name is Nathan Apfel. I just had questions pertaining to housing allowance and also his salary. And then also, we heard that was ordained and also takes a housing allowance. How is the
A
service?
lot of this sounds LDS, right? Ordained, investigator, tithe.
Well,
those terms aren't ubiquitous, right?
Oh, actually, ordained is ubiquitous. Yeah.
Generally, actually.
Yeah, a lot of people use ordained.
Also, we don't throw away housing allowances in accordance to ordinations almost at all. Like every bishop that gets ordained a bishop is not receiving a housing allowance.
Right.
In fact, one could argue the only housing allowances that are really administered are through the completely socialized and communized missionary program. Where whether you're serving in, well, think about it. It used to be that if you got called to serve in England, your family was paying with the conversion of pounds to American dollars. And the fact that you had to rent an apartment in a heavily urban environment, you were paying thousands of dollars a month for your missionary. Meanwhile, the guy that got called to go serve in Nicaragua, it was like, $50 a month for your missionary. So it wasn't until they just averaged the cost of all the missionaries worldwide and then had the families just pay into the missionary program that you started seeing that equity. Yeah. And that's administered.
I would definitely call that communized. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if it's me in charge, communism's great. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I agree.
Isn't that the way it always is?
In charge.
Yeah, exactly. So here we keep going on. It says good intentions pave the way to, I believe it said hell. We continue.
Separation of church and state is just a recipe for churches to be a potential for fraud.
Which could be true. That could be true. So Easter 2020.
Sounded like he was going to cry at the end for fraud.
I mean,
yeah, that's true.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, do it.
The separation of church and state is a recipe for churches to commit fraud. I mean, look. I can't stand these paid pastors. I can't stand it. The priestcraft, it's disgusting. However, the answer is not to just funnel it all to politicians so they can buy more tickets on the Lowly Express.
Sushi. Sushi. They
That
need
is
another
not-
$6 million for sushi, bro.
No, I'm sorry. That is not the answer to this. Like, these churches are making too much money. Let's tax it. Like, whoa. What the heck? Like, there's no worse place to put your money than taxes. So I get these. Some of these guys are grifters,
you mean-
are slimy, but why would you
everything?
want to then...
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Brad.
Oh, just everything coming out of the U.S. aid office stuff isn't exactly where you think the money should be going?
Thank you, right? We're paying for, studying how fast a shrimp can run on a treadmill in Antarctica for $3 million. Like what, it creates an incentive for fraud. Okay, first of all taxes create an incentive for fraud. All taxes do. Exempting churches from taxes, I'm not sure that fault. Why would that incentivize fraud?
I think their concern is that, okay, if you can just put money into a church, like if you're going to start a business, right, and say you want to become this mega pastor who then doesn't have to pay taxes on all of the donations that you're getting, that's a better way to be doing your business than going out and being a life coach where you do have to pay your taxes, right?
Maybe you call something a church that probably isn't a church. Right? Like maybe that kind of fraud, like getting into the getting into the party, so you're tax exempt. Maybe it creates an incentive for people to pretend like they're a religion or a church or a. Okay, I guess. I think it's funny that the implied solution is always let's tax them more, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's a terrible solution. Like, I don't see why this is our default
I don't
position.
think these guys are libertarians.
Well,
that's going to be my guess.
That's probably not.
Well, and also, I would want to give them grace and think that they're probably frustrated, at least through their social media profile that I see, with the visible excesses of so many of these North American Protestant churches. Like there's the pinned post on Religion
Copeland
Business that is the trailer, and then right next to it is Kevin Copeland, yes, who has bragged about driving Bentleys, and I have 37 Breitling watches in my closet. And I would argue the whole Benny Hinn and the prosperity gospel that has existed, unfortunately, in North America, predominantly since the 70s, has been a bane and a burden and an abuse. What's the second commandment? First is no other gods before me. And then the second one is thou shalt not use my name in vain. And we've corrupted that into thinking that as long as we think, oh my gosh. Oh, sorry, you're right. The third. Yeah, we've corrupted that. Okay. We've corrupted that into thinking that, as long as I say, oh my gosh, and not, oh my God, that I'm righteous. No, God knew the power of acting in the name of God. And so he said, don't you dare abuse my name. Don't you dare take my name, the Lord's name, in vain, which all of us would agree Kenneth Copeland is doing. All of us would agree that Benny Hinn did. And we have always eschewed Priestcraft. Not a single one of our lay clergy, it's called lay clergy for that reason. None of our bishops receive any of the pay. And in fact, you can't even argue that the pay apostles receive is pay, other than a minor living stipend equivalent to a high school administrator as compensation for the opportunity cost of prohibiting him from working elsewhere. So I would make a documentary on the priestcraft of the North American church, and half these anti-Mormons that are grifting off of recycling tropes, anti-Mormon, anti-Semitic, and anti-Muslim tropes would be on the top of my hit list too, because those abuses are grievous. Okay, actually following up what you say your doctrine is and putting your money where your mouth is, following the law of the harvest, is not what Benny Hinn is doing. It's not what Copeland is doing.
Right.
The Mormon Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, is the only church that's receiving a tithe and then also saving some of that for a rainy day. And that's how they actually got their wealth.
Yeah. Now there's a meme that is relevant to this card, and there's a bunch of material in the Discord here. If you could scroll close to the right towards the top of this section here, debunking the religion business.
Yeah, I see it. I got all these memes up. Is this
and then a few super chats after?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
First, we have Johnny Depp reading to us from the Bible. The particular translation we're using tonight is the Pirate Bible, of course.
Okay.
Still hoping that the church canonizes that. And replaces the KJV.
What does it say? Read what it says,
It says, from 1 Timothy 6:10, it says, "Arg, the love of plunder be the source of all wickedness. Somewhat yearn for it, me hearties, and have gone astray from the code, leaving only a sharp blade of misery in their wake." So I think that means that the love of money is the root of all evil. Now notice in this verse, it isn't money that's the root of all evil. It's the love of money that's the root of all evil. Just money by itself is just money. It doesn't have a will. It doesn't do nefarious things. It's just money. But when there's the incentive for money, and that is the big difference between the very few people in the Church of Jesus Christ that do receive money and the paid pastors that are in this documentary, is that they have an incentive to change what they do and what they say and how they attract followers in order to get money.
Mike Winger is financially incentivized to keep recycling anti-Muslim, anti-Semitic, and anti-Mormon tropes because he receives an additional royalty, an additional RPM based off all the clicks and views he gets. The downfall,
he wants to drive that up.
He wants to drive that up. The downfall, the downfall of Harvard, according to, come on, who are the two brothers? One taught at Evergreen College, Weinstein, the Weinstein brothers.
The Ringling
Brett
brothers. Oh,
Weinstein.
dang it.
Yeah, the Ringling brothers, almost.
So close.
The Wachowski brothers, maybe. No, it was the downfall of Harvard, where Weinstein graduated from, he said, was it became subject to market influences. And when it became subject to market influences, the slow erosion of its reputation began until finally you had the massive scandal that broke out where there was the DEI scandal, there was the anti-Palestinian scandal, so on and so forth. And he said the very first thing they need to do to get their reputation back is to remove themselves from market influences. The organization of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the only church where the leadership is wholly and 100% removed from all market influences.
That's right. That's right. Now the next image that we have here shows a little children planting seeds. They're planting seeds.
Okay.
Now, off to the side, you see our own favorite Alyssa Grenfell, bitter ex-Mormon. Now, this isn't the quote. I almost had the quote where she says, I woke up in a pool of my vomit after getting drunk with my husband, and it was a great, enlightening experience. I mix those quotes up. But it wasn't that quote. Actually, this one is her saying to these children planting seeds, you selfish hoarders, you should be eating those seeds.
Yeah, I see that.
That's the logic of the anti-Mormon community. Because the church reinvests money, they say, that must be nefarious. You should be eating those seeds, not planting them for some future, payoff.
Now I get it.
See, what this makes me think of every single time is back in the time of Joseph of Egypt, I'm sure there was some angry Egyptian that was like, why did they keep on putting so much in the storehouses?
You're hoarding grain.
6 years. They're just hoarding so much grain. How dumb can they be?
Yes.
They have enough for so long. We're never going to need it. The next year, 7 years of famine. Turns out this was really useful to have, right?
Amen.
Like, come on. That's how I feel about this situation.
Yeah, they say, so you should be eating those seeds. It's like, are you dumb? Why would I eat these seeds?
There was even a guy, I believe it was 2006 or so, he was like a school janitor, and he lived in a little house by himself, worked that for years and years, and when he died, they go and get his will and look at it, and he donated something like $2.1 million to the local hospital because he had just used what he needed and then taken everything else and just invested it. And so just like tiny little house, janitor, for years and years and years and years until he donates it to the hospital. Now, if people knew what his finances were, at any point before then, when it was a quarter of that size, they could have been like, oh, he's just hoarding $500,000. What did the... But then 20 years later, it's $2.1 million or whatever it was.
Right. This is what makes people mad. If anybody isn't familiar, people get mad because the church has a lot of money that they reinvest in a fund that's growing. And this is their logic.
Like I said before, let's stop calling lazy learners intelligent. Let's stop calling whiners whistleblowers. Let's also stop calling people like misery that's wanting company bravery. These people are always like, why aren't you broken like us? Why aren't you paycheck to paycheck under the guillotine of Donald Trump's Doge like the rest of us? Why aren't you spending $6 million on sushi and embarrassingly trying to hide it in all the nooks and crannies of the tax code? Why aren't you broken like us? Can't you be broken like us? Meanwhile, there's no $6 million sushi fund out there. We're not inventing treadmills for shrimp or studying, underwater basket weaving, how to do it better. Okay, we're not wasting our money on that crap. We're helping people do that
and
better.
let me add on this. I don't think these guys, as they're doing their investigations, are gonna find that we have church leaders using these tithing funds to buy 37 Breitling watches. Right?
Bro, you'd be out in a heartbeat. You'd be out so fast. I count tithing. If you're off by a dime, the auditors come down and they're like, where's this dime? And it's happened in my previous bishopric, and there was one envelope, and you have to sign it, co-sign it, put it in an envelope, seal it, sign it, date it, put it in a folder, keep it in the thing, and they come through and they check every one, and they go through everyone, they count every dime. And we were off by a dime, and my signature was on it. Oof. And the state auditor comes down, and he's like, what's going on? they called me up and they're like, "We need you to come down to the chapel." And I'm like, "Okay." And they're like,
Stole the
"This is
dime,
it was 10
Jonah.
cents. It was 10 cents.
You know,
I'm completely serious. They are that clamped down. There is no organization on the planet that handles finances as tightly and as well.
Speaking
as the church
of, do you want to know something funny?
Yeah, hit it.
Just to back up your statement you just made, dude, there was an event in New York while I was on my mission. This Revlon run walk for cancer. Guess who they had count all the money?
No way.
LDS Missionary.
Missionary? No kidding.
Yeah,
really?
they would always just have us be the ones coming through to put it together because they knew they could trust us.
Dude, so, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was like my mission. We did that for this charity.
No
they're like,
kidding.
oh yeah, these Mormons, they freaking don't care.
That's so funny.
That's funny.
Super chat.
Oh yes, super chats. Babe, pick us up.
Sorry,
pick us
Brittany.
up. Pick us up. Hit us,
Okay,
babe.
Hale says you guys should get some Exmo Tears mugs made up in celebration of this decision.
No. Anti-Mormon Tears mugs. I need to renew my crusade. Renew my crusade that we don't brand every ex-Mormon as anti, because I think
Brad's
antis want every ex-Mormon to be anti, right?
That's true.
And so, like,
I always
let's
say
not give them
ex-Mormon,
that ground.
anti-Mormon. I always make it a mouthful, but
That's too long. Anti-Mormon's enough.
okay, true that. Yeah, but the ex-Mormon brand is the uniquely toxic one.
And the
You
next
know?
super chat is Wubbies. Wubby says, "Nice hat, Cardin. What's the story behind that? Fallout is an awesome video game series."
Oh, interesting. Didn't you guys recognize this hat? That's the New California Republic.
Why is it a two-headed bear?
Is that a mutated bear?
Yeah, it's a two-headed bear. Actually, this guy must be a gamer. The game Fallout has become an extremely popular streaming franchise. I believe it's on. Not Hulu. It's on, I think, Netflix right now. The first season was a resounding success. And interestingly, here's a little insight into the entertainment industry, that the California lottery pays, I think, once or twice a year. I'm probably butchering this, and it's probably oversimplified, so don't quote me. But part of the funds of the California lottery go towards repatriating productions that have been sent to other states because of tax incentives. And so Fallout now was repatriated to California to get filmed here. And a lot of the production companies and the After Effects houses and everything from, directors and editors and animators and special effects guys over here to the above the line actors and producers and so on and so forth that have worked on the project have made merch for their crews on this. And this is the merch for the Fallout crew.
Cool.
That's working on set down in Manhattan Beach, I believe. So what's kind of funny is, dude, just go to a Goodwill here or there, though, and you can get like a director's chair Tom Hanks sat in for like General Hospital. You can get t-shirts that are like Pixar t-shirts for whatever movie. Any movie that's like 5 years old that you like, just go to the Goodwill down in like Toluca Lake or down in North Hollywood or down in Studio City, and you will find more merch from more shows. You know, like there's dudes like painting shirts here in like Dune 2. You know what I'm saying? And they would be a god anywhere at the film school in Bozeman, Montana. But it's just a paint shirt for the guy who's like, oh yeah, that one was good. They had good craft services. Yeah, you want to help me paint my shed? No, you want to get out of here. I'm a Teamster. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, yeah, it's pretty rad. It's funny.
Okay, next one.
Mary
Lou Howarth gifted 10 Ward Radio memberships.
Ooh, Mary Lou Howarth. Thank you so much, Sister Mary, doing her job as a Ward Radio missionary. We have received the records for, where is it? Oh boy, look at here they are.
It's
for the
early.
brother of Jared, for Sister Fidget the Crazy, for the minor prophet Ian Malcolm, Leala E, Elizabeth Perch, Kimberly Saunders, and Lala Ipapai, and Heather Larson, and Blaster Jr. 34, and Zach Bond. All those who would like to welcome these new Ward members into the Ward Radio worship, please do so by putting a W in the chat.
Okay.
X10.
That's a lot of W's.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, yes, it is a mutated bear because Fallout's about nuclear fallout and surviving the apocalypse afterwards. I forgot to say that. Okay,
nice.
Cool. Keep going.
Elder E says, "Hey Jonah, off topic, but I have finally started reading your book. The day I started reading it, I went straight into my Book of Mormon study afterwards, and I picked up on Helaman 8:19."
Boom shot.
That's so. Helaman 8 is one of the brass plate sermons that is heavily influenced from the brass plates. To see Helaman 8, it's where he says all prophets will testify.
There's a second part to this chat. Maybe this. He says
he mentions the hidden prophets, Ezias.
Yes.
The only place.
Yes, he says literally the following verse 8:20. They mentioned the lost scripture of Ezias. Yep. You don't have to take that as a sign, but I definitely will. You are onto something great. I can feel it through the Spirit.
Oh, cool. That's very cool. Thank you so much. That's cool. I'm glad you like the book.
Now, if you give $10 more of a super chat, there are more blessings in heaven reserved just for you. In fact, you can sin. You can overtly sin for $20. And
no, Carden, the indulgences cost $130 a month.
Oh yeah, I'm undercutting myself.
Short sell it.
I'm undercutting myself.
Devaluing your indulgences.
No, you best come through.
It's a sale on indulgences.
We're
having a sale on indulgences. All sins must go.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, what's funny is avoiding this altogether. It's why I've always registered Ward Radio as entertainment. I do not file for a 501c3 that's fake like John Dehlin has. I don't file for a fake 501c3 like LDS Discussions. I don't do the 1-2-step shuffle where people say, oh, well, it's talking about religion, therefore it's a religious organization, so I'm going to take all of these fake deductions, even though I'm a nonprofit that behaves completely as a for-profit entity, like the fakely named and in my opinion, completely disingenuous Mormon Stories podcast. A big expose that I would love to see these documentary filmmaker guys do is the amount of people that masquerade as religious organizations when they are actually anti-religious organizations, and they fly under the radar of the protections of religious organizations in order to wildly enrich themselves. John Dehlin is worth millions, hiding those millions from the IRS under protections meant for religion, not anti-religion.
Dude, that would be such a cool angle for them to cover.
That would be so cool.
Like they would be the only people to ever take that route. You know, that would be awesome.
Well, some people have done something similar. We'll go to the Discord, but some people have done something similar. When I was doing Problem Solver Politics with Andrew Yang, you may not remember this, but one of his first proposals was actually some of the ideas that they have now adopted in the NCAA, where individual players can actually make money off of deals. It used to be only the school could, and the coaches would be making $100, $200 million a year, $50 million a year. Meanwhile, the individual athletes could only accept a scholarship and a housing stipend. So you're having some Heisman Trophy winning quarterback selling out a stadium larger than the professional stadium down the road. You know, you had an SEC game generating more income for a coach that is now worth 7 figures, you know. Meanwhile, the poor individual athletes couldn't even sign a Nike shoe deal, or else they would lose their scholarship, and it was considered corruption. Some of that's been gone away with, but Andrew Yang was part of that conversation, and the tax protections of educational institutions were called into question. And now there's even liberal progressives that are calling into question, for example, Harvard's fund. Who's the guy? Scott Calloway literally said Harvard has ceased to become an educational institution underneath its fund. It has now become a hedge fund that masquerades as a university. You know, it's like, oh yeah, it's brutal. Some of the things it said. So I always say challenge an institution, because if it is strong and it is righteous, it will stand. And my friends that are making the religion business, the LDS Church will stand, okay? Because all of us know that it operates above book. We understand that there's, some sound bites and some gotchas and some zingers that you can throw at us here and there. But by and large, we say challenge the institution, because you will walk away from the North American Protestant Church with heads on a stick when it comes to priestcraft. Meanwhile, nothing much to see here. Brad.
Yeah, I wonder how they're going to handle that. Because they do cut through a ton of different pictures of the LDS Church and shots of the apostles and shots of the prophet and the first presidency, right? And what are they going to do when they realize that these guys left super high paying jobs to get a stipend that's super modest, right? I wonder if they will have the guts to be look at people who are doing this right? These are people who are actually trying to live what it is they're supposed to be doing. I can see them still having qualms about the church having as much money as they do, because they strike me as people who are going to be concerned by that no matter what. But I don't think that they can be angry about the lifestyle of our church leaders,
Now we have in the Discord, Cardin, there's 2 charts that are column charts with dark blue on them.
Got them right here.
Apropos time. There's so much to get to, guys, in this
Let's
episode.
do it.
Make sure
Let's
you
do it really fast.
Stick around to the end. There is so much. We've got a ton to get through. I know Luke has tons as well. But if you see, there's 2 kind of charts, and one of them, it just says chart title because I forgot to put a title. Chart title. This guy shows marching across. The first 2 columns are the net worth, and then all the rest are dwarfed by it because that's
it says
income.
Sovereign wealth funds and public pension funds per capita by countries, correct?
Oh, okay. Well, let's look at that one now. If you have that up, okay?
Okay. Yeah.
So a sovereign wealth fund. When you think of the church's wealth, you should probably think of it like a sovereign wealth fund. Okay.
Okay.
Because what the church is trying to do is build up a fund that is so big that it can then be self-sustaining.
Yes.
That the fund can just kind of live indefinitely. If you compare to other sovereign wealth funds, that's when a country will take money, usually from foreign import tariffs or things like that, and put it in a fund and let it grow. There's some countries that do this quite well. Norway, Singapore, Kuwait are kind of at the top of this thing.
My people.
This chart is this chart is
not Singaporean.
Yeah. This chart is breaking down the wealth, the amount of dollars per citizen for these different sovereign wealth funds. So Norway has $280,000 US per capita in their sovereign wealth fund. They got a ton of money.
Whoa.
Right? And then Singapore's next, and it goes all the way down until you get to Malaysia has $12,000 per citizen, and then Taiwan has $9,000 per citizen. If the Church of Jesus Christ was a nation, we'd be in between those guys, way down at the bottom of this thing, making we would have about $11,444 US dollars, $20-25 per member in the church. Okay, so just to give you some perspective as to all these other funds and public pension funds, sovereign wealth funds around the world, compared to these things, where the church would kind of sit. Okay, with the amount of money that it has, I hope people think of it as a sovereign wealth fund instead of just cash. Now, the next chart actually...
Well, hold on. Let me just interject there. When I was... Yeah. I'm just going to put this into context for the layman here. When I was at BYU, when you were at BYU, because I found out that we went at similar times.
That's
when
right.
you were at BYU and I was at
Cardin
BYU...
used to give me wedgies in the hallway. He'd give me swirlies.
Yeah.
Shove me in lockers. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a bully because I was so skinny. Anyway, I was going to say that, do you remember what the highest paying job on campus was at that time?
I don't know. Good question. I don't know.
I looked it up, and I only know because one of my roommates did an econ project on it or something. But while they were only paying $12, $13, $14 an hour for the biggest, grossest janitorial jobs, they were giving 20 some odd dollars an hour plus commission, if I'm not mistaken, to the phone center that would call the alumni to get donations for the fund, because their goal was to hit $1 billion so that the school could function just off the interest from the fund. They figure,
really?
Yes. So 77%. And this is why all these anti-Mormon ex-Mormons, like the Huntsmans, whenever they want to freaking whine and complain, I want them to take every single one of their kids. Maybe the Huntsman family is a bad example, but there's tons of these anti-Mormons that went to BYU where the church pays 77% of your cost as a student. 77%. Over 3/4 of your tuition is paid for by the sacrifice and the donations of members of the church that think education is so important that they're willing to give it to you basically free. And those people graduate and then turn around and complain about, oh, the Mormon church is so XY. Is what, dude? You know, before you complain about the people that just paid for your education, I think you owe them a check. Like, I really think that you should just reimburse your tuition to BYU if you're going to go anti-Mormon like that. So anyway, the number one paying job on campus at BYU was actually the people calling out and getting those donations because they were making a big push so that BYU could run off of just interest. So being the Harvard of the West, it wouldn't have to actually rely upon huge families with big names and big wealth accounts.
Right.
Because that's a big problem in the Ivy League. The big problem in the Ivy League is who gets in. Who gets in?
The nepo babies, the trust fund babies.
And why is that?
Because their parents donate loads of cash to
because
the
they're
universities.
not
It's totally true.
They're not removed from the market influences of
right.
the economy. So the best way to remove yourself from market influences of the economy is to obey the biblical law of the harvest, obey the scriptural law of the harvest that also appears in the Book of Mormon and the Doctrine and Covenants, and to save for your own future.
So you can be unchained from the incentive, from the love of money. Now, the next graphic that we have just down from that last one, Cardin, says, where's the cash?
Got it. It's up on the screen.
Okay. This is a profile of the church's $206 billion of investment reserves, okay? Now I want everyone to understand this. There's not a mattress somewhere with $200 billion in cash underneath it. That's cartoon fantasy land, okay?
But there is a big pool of gold coins. That gets dove into like Scrooge McDuck.
The Russell Nelson dives into, swims around in, of course. No, if you look at this.
I want to watch DuckTales now.
The church's investment fund, okay? If you look at this, breaks it up by percentage. U.S. stocks. International stocks, private equity, real estate, hybrid securities, bonds, BYU and affiliates, 4 to 5% estimated of this is actually in cash, potentially, okay? So
interesting.
When they say they're hoarding money, no, they're not. The money is being invested. The money is in a million different hands of a million different places and people and business and properties, and it's out there working. Nobody in the church is just sitting on a mountain of cash. That's dumb. So,
by the way, what do we do?
I don't know, Jonah. Yeah. I don't know if you can prove that. I think it's all in the hands of just that one guy. Follow the prophet, if you will. Yeah, totally under the control of one person. No,
follow the money.
It's so dumb.
Exactly. So it kills me how people get up in arms about this one and how they don't understand what it's being used for. I really appreciate you putting in that graphic to help people understand how the church's fund is being used. We're a worldwide church. We have temples all throughout the world. We have people that we need to take care of. We have things that we need to do. This operating budget is not as much as you think it would be. Actually, Casey Griffiths and Stephen Jones just did a really good episode on this. And by the time that Casey was done talking through it with Stephen Jones, Stephen was like, dude, 100 million's maybe not even enough, right? Like,
that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I recommend anyone who's watching this to go watch that. I think it's Get Real with Stephen Jones. Watch his episode with Casey Griffiths on this. It's going to be good.
That's cool. Well, we have more to get to unless Brittany's going to start.
Yeah, we got some super chats.
Time.
Catch us up on super chats, babe.
Okay. Uh-oh, my phone is frozen.
Oh,
literally,
it's frozen.
You sat there whining, and now it
you
doesn't
had
work.
one job, all right?
You guys freaking talk too much.
I can grab the first
I have
one.
them set up if we need.
Okay.
Hit the first
do that.
one.
My phone is toast.
Yeah, okay, do
So
it.
Danny Gray says, been gone for a while. Lots of changes going on. Prayers, please. But I wanted to share that our youngest was recently ordained a deacon, and we took him to do baptisms. We did it. All our sons are now worthy priesthood holders. Dude, that is awesome.
Good for you, Danny Gray.
That is so
Man, Danny
good.
Gray's one of those guys, just so perfect. He's just frustratingly perfect person, you know? We can't all be Danny Gray. He just wrecks the curve for the rest of us. You know, it's classic Danny Gray, you know?
Thank you, Danny.
Yeah. Paulinakis 2000. Question: how is it the church can pass multiple audits, but the Pentagon and Department of Defense has just failed its 7th and never accurately accounts for monies appropriated?
Ooh.
I think it's that the church gets help from the devil with its auditing, because accounting is obviously from hell. So that must be it. That the church is evil. That's what this proves.
Brittany's got her
got
her
it
phone
again.
back. Hit it. Keep us to the chats. Go.
Hale says, so their argument is that we should get rid of the First Amendment. Of course. Pinkos? What's Pinkos mean?
I don't know.
Pinkos, communists.
Pinkos means communist.
Okay.
Oh, really? Is that like an old
Pinko
slang?
commie always goes
Brad's
together,
from
right?
Brad's from Canada. He knows all about that.
Yeah, I was born one of those.
Actually, what's kind of funny is I lived with 2 Aussies, and playing video games, it's hilarious. Like, Australian insults are so funny. And one of them was when he got really angry, be like, "Oh, what'd you do, you filthy communist?" And he would literally call people filthy communists as like
That's a big insult.
as a pejorative. And I was like, here you have to have like a cigar and sound like you're talking in a 1920s voice, like, what are the communists doing marching down Main Street, huh?
Okay,
All
next
right,
one.
Next one.
Fogg says, John Oliver did something on churches a while ago. He set up a church called Our Lady of Perpetual Exemption. There are a couple YouTube videos about it.
Yes, that was...
Okay, so that's funny.
That's funny. That's really funny.
Except you want to give money to the Pentagon, which has failed every audit for 7 years. You want to give money to bureaucrats who want to fly to Pedophile Island, okay? That's the problem, is that it's like perpetual
Jonah,
exemption. Yes, that's funny, except you're trying to give money to people 100 times worse.
You would love John Oliver if only he was a libertarian.
No, I know. He's done some funny stuff.
Yeah, but he's
He's
a
so
coward, though. He never bucks the liberal system. All the late night guys, they would be funny if they did it both ways. If they made fun of both sides. But John Oliver...
I will agree with that. They should do a better job of that.
None of them did. Stephen Colbert was so hilarious, but he never, ever made fun of liberals, so he became a one-trick pony. And
isn't that weird to tell your kids, like, kids, Stephen Colbert used to be funny.
Yeah.
And then they'll
like,
say,
really,
"Who's
Dad?"
that?"
Literally, he used to be legitimately funny. He used to be a comedian.
Yeah.
Even the Colbert Report, which was actively making fun of conservatives, was hilarious.
And had he made, so when you make fun of conservatives during the conservative administration, it's funny. But then when the liberals win the election and you have 8 years of a liberal administration and you just keep making fun of conservatives, even though there's tons of material everywhere, you become a boring and predictable one-trick pony. And that's what these guys became, and they ruined the entire brand.
And the next
He'll
super
figure
chat.
it out. He'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah, okay. Brittany is she's fighting for her people.
Yeah.
She's fighting for her people.
It's like,
Go.
we're never going to get through this. Okay, Kiori says, new t-shirt idea, Nahor slew first.
Oh, Nahor
slew first.
No, it should be Laban swung first.
Oh,
nice.
Laban swung first. All right, next one.
The compilation channel says, hey, Jonah, I'm about to start digging into the Apocrypha. Is there anywhere you would suggest I start? What book in particular?
The Ascension of Isaiah is great. You can hit that. That's a good way to kind of lean in. If you're going to read an Enoch book, there are several books of Enoch. I would go with the first book of Enoch, and bring a pencil with you because it's many different documents kind of shoved together. And if you take it all at once, it's a very large book. There's over 100 chapters. But first Enoch, Ascension of Isaiah is great. I don't know if you want Old Testament stuff, the Book of Jubilees.
That sounds happy.
No, it's not very happy, actually. It's definitely not happy. It's very depressing, actually.
It's like Old Testament books are like the child armies in Africa. This is the People's Liberation Front. And it's just like, a bunch of kidnapped children with AK-47s. No, whenever you look at the names of all the armies that have ever fought in Africa. And it's always like the admonition of peace and freedom. And they're just guilty of all the worst war crimes.
The preteen happy train.
You know what I'm saying? Yes. Yeah. It's so bad, dude. So anyway, keep going.
Jacob, son of thunder, says, petition to get Alex O'Connor on to settle whether the Heartland or Meso model is true, or if the real Zarahemla was the friends we made along the way.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a great Mormon hippie slogan. Like, the real Zarahemla are the friends we made along the way.
Dude, that's a good t-shirt right there.
That's a good t-shirt.
I am so going to start using that. Like, right when like the old Methodist woman in the back wants to say, aren't we all brothers and sisters, ... in God's way. You know what I'm saying? Don't we just want to just say, isn't the real Zarahemla the friends we made along the way, sister? Like, that is funny. All right, next one.
I've got to read this just because it's too good.
Okay.
Gid Gadonut is referring to Brittany here as Our Lady of Perpetual Super Chats.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will take it.
Represent. That's funny.
And we are done with Super Chats.
Hey, we're caught up on Super Chats. Congratulations, babe. You deserve a medal.
Thank you.
Now, as long as we're talking about merch, there is one merch idea in the chat. It's the most recent thing that was put in the Discord card. And if you could just pull that up. So this is a t-shirt idea that we had here at Ward Radio. Let's see how many takers there are.
Oh,
Vote in the chat if you
jeez.
think you'd wear this.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, not sorry, Laban. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm making a small note that people
What do you think? Worth it? Worth it?
Oh, I can't see it yet. Dang it.
It's a bloodstained t-shirt. And it just says, sorry, not sorry.
You know what's cool? You could use that for a lot of people.
Oh my God.
Like Ammon,
Yeah.
Thanks for the arms. I don't know.
Like,
give me a hand. Ammon, give me a hand or something.
Dude, that's funny.
I'm disarming.
So here's the question.
And then shiz would be, don't lose your head.
Ah.
Oh, the
Look
dad
at us.
puns.
We're on a roll.
The dad puns are crushing.
Okay, so we left off, we were talking about Cardin's point that if you invest enough, then you can live off the interest. There's another little chart we can get to. It shows it's right underneath that where's the cash, Cardin.
One more super chat as you pull it up.
Okay, hit it. Brittany, one more super chat.
Okay, Devin Glenn says, let's be real, the Ninth Circuit shot down the lawsuit because it would have opened the door for all of the shady nonprofits to receive auditor scrutiny, mostly left-wing.
No, it would have opened them for anybody to say they demand a refund at any point in the future. Yeah.
For any donation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Or maybe we could just take them at their word that no reasonable tithing person would ever thought.
I mean, think about it. All the people who donated to like Act Blue for Bernie, and then it all went toward like Hillary, right?
Right. They'd sue. They'd say that's not what the intentions were.
Okay.
No, Cardin read the slip. The fine print says it right there. Sorry, no case. Get out of here. Get out of our courtroom.
Okay, pertaining to that shirt, Fidget the Crazy says, Ammon, if provoked, I will throw hands.
If provoked, I will throw hands. That's funny.
Oh, man.
All right, describe this last chart, and then I want to actually analyze what the religion business guys have put out there and some of the videos on their social media profile.
Now, this chart, is this the one with Alyssa Grenfell's head in the corner?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
I saw you did that. Okay.
So this shows the investment, the in and out of the church. Okay, so it's getting things from fast offerings, humanitarian donations, tithing, and investment profits. Okay, the largest of those you can clearly see is investment profits, right? Making $23 billion in investment profits year over year. Okay, then the other streams of revenue coming in. Okay, and where they all go, they go to on the right side: fast offerings, humanitarian aid, admin, missionary program, BYU, building construction, so on, so on, so on. Okay, now you can see at the very bottom, way down at the bottom, there's a tiny little sliver, $31 million, general authority compensation, item Q. Do you see that? See that tiny little sliver down there?
Yeah, you
Alyssa
can't
Grenville's
even see
looking
it.
down.
Yeah.
Looking down at that, okay? General authority compensation. All of that, if you notice, is coming 100% from the investment profits. So to Cardin's point, okay, if you're upset, these people are complaining that their tithing went to things they didn't want them to go to. The church was wise enough and Joseph of Egypt enough to store up enough money that now there's never a question if a penny of your tithing dollars could be going to any person's pocket. It'll never go into the pocket of a church authority or a church worker, whatever. That general authority compensation comes 100% from the interest that they make off their investment profits. So, like Cardin said, they dislodged themselves from the market forces that corrupt churches and nonprofits because they were smart and they didn't capitulate to the whiners, the whistleblowers out there. They said, no, screw you, we're saving. And they did long enough, and now they're free from those market incentives that corrupt people. So I think it's brilliant. This is an interesting chart. You can look at this at the Widow's Mite report for 2024. The numbers came out, and this is where we get the hashtag Make It a Trillion. Make it a trillion, people.
We should note that general authorities is not just the Quorum of the 12.
Yeah.
It's also all of the 70s.
Right.
As well. Like it's not even being, it's being split between like well over 100 people.
There's not just 70s. There's multiple quorums of the 70s.
There's hundreds of people. Yeah.
And also a lot of that money comes from foreign members who have been called from frankly impoverished countries. Like if you're an Argentine area authority, yes, there were some Argentine millionaires that I met. But there was also some people that got called into church
I don't
service.
know if what the compensation is for area authorities.
Well, no, sorry.
Like I know mission presidents get
so just for
something
example,
tiny.
Like I'll tell you this right now. Sister Spanaus in the Young Women's General Presidency, right? Their family's doing just fine. Brother Spanaus was a great guy. He'd been a member since his childhood, one of the first families in Argentina, phenomenal member, and also the CEO of Black & Decker for South America.
Oh,
all right. So, I mean, the guy probably didn't need too much help relocating to Salt Lake City, right?
He's made a bit of money, probably.
Yeah. He's made a bit of money. So he doesn't need it. And oftentimes those guys.
And might I add, when he goes into church service like this, he will retire, giving up his ultra well-paying job.
That's right.
To take a modest living stipend to make sure that they have an ability to keep themselves afloat while in service, right?
Yes.
That's right.
Exactly.
Not to buy Breitling watches.
Yes, exactly. And
any Breitling watches you find on a member of our church was probably bought by their own money, right? Like, that's not something they're getting out of church funds.
They can't because most of that stipend that they receive, Brad, and all these guys receive is reimbursement. The vast majority of the dollars they get is reimbursement stuff. So they're reporting these things. So
and all I
you're
really
sneaking a Breitling watch through there, that's going to be real tough to sneak through.
Yeah, and by the way, I hope these guys can afford their own Breitling watches from their illustrious careers that they had before, because 2 of the 12 apostles were investment bankers, if I remember correctly, that were worth 6, 7, however many figures of money before. Russell M. Nelson, the current president of the church, had an extremely successful medical career, pioneering and blazing a trail in heart surgeries that were very forward thinking and ahead of their times before he was actually called into church service where he couldn't work anymore. So I think at one point, only 3 of the 12 apostles were actually even collecting part of that stipend. And I think one of them was Boyd K. Packer, because he'd grown up as a teacher in the CES system and was like a seminary instructor. So he actually needed it. Whereas all the others just told the church, keep it as a donation. Just like Donald Trump doesn't take the $400,000 presidential stipend or pay that you get when you're in the White House, and he donates it to charity. These men weren't doing that. However, that's not necessarily the same possibility. If you're even an upper middle class person in Mexico who's going to sell his house and relocate to America because you've been called into church service as the guy that's in charge of all of Latin America's, I don't know, church basketball league or whatever. You know what I'm saying? With the dollar to peso exchange, you may not be as wealthy a person as you thought you were all of a sudden, because, you know, now the median income for a house, a 4-bedroom house, if you got 4 kids, might all of a sudden be $400,000. And was that your property value in the country you came from? Maybe not so much.
You know, and that's a news story. I wish somebody would report on that news story. The leaders of the church, you know, there's 10,000 employees in the LDS church. The Q15 preside over millions of members the entire world over, and they're sitting on $200 billion, and they take that much.
Yeah.
That's a news story. I want somebody to write an article about that and say, has somebody broken the matrix?
Dude, we need to redo our algorithms so that that kind of story is what gets rewarded.
Honestly.
Rather than all of the rage bait that we have online at all times.
Amen. Highlight the person who goes off into the Yukon. You know, the Christian evangelical guy goes off into the Yukon and like adopts 5 Inuit children and forms a little church out there and lives like a squirrel for 30 years. There's people who do that in the name of their faith, and they're incredibly inspiring.
Yeah.
What godly people. And and the Church of Jesus Christ sitting on all that money and giving them this little sliver. That's a news story. Somebody cover that. Peggy Fletcher. Yeah. No, well, I won't hold my breath.
Yeah. So I think we're going to find out whether or not there's an anti-Mormon bent to this documentary or not, pretty much by whether or not they follow anti-Mormon rule number 7, where they're always trying to co-opt other churches' scandals into ours. They're always trying to take circular pegs and fit them into square holes. One of the frustrations we've had dealing with other anti-Mormon arguments here is most people don't know how to contextualize the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We're kind of like the libertarians of Mormonism. In a world that's so used to Democrats over here and Republicans over here, people don't know how to understand who libertarians are until they meet one for a really long time and he can explain to them what they actually mean, because they're so stuck in the binary. Similarly, in North America, people either understand Catholicism with all of that opulence, and some would say beauty and tradition, while others would say, you know, scandal and wealth over here, or there's Protestantism, which has its priestcraft and its own scandals and so on and so forth. They don't understand Mormonism, aka the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that has Protestant sensibility with Catholic richness, right? And they just can't process, so they just take bits and pieces from both scandals and try and wedge them all into one instead of none, because our church has really done a lot to remove market influences. Actually, not a lot, done everything it can to remove market influences from leadership, which is the definition of priestcraft. It is codified or codified. I know a lot of anti-Mormons comment on that. It is codified. By the way, I've looked it up. You can pronounce it both ways. So I like just doing that to throw people off. It is codified in Scripture that you shouldn't receive compensation for your role as a priesthood leader. And we don't do that, which is pretty awesome.
Now, the alternative would be, imagine if, anti-Mormons, you get your way, and none of the Q15 receive any money from the church, not a dime, okay?
Only rich people could be leaders, and you would make it so you're a church run by rich people.
No, what it means is the church would have to collapse and not exist anymore, and that's what they actually want.
Well, that's what they want. Or it would mean that they'd be susceptible to bribes or to money or to whatever. But they have enough that they're kind of disconnected from that, right? But if they were scraping by, this is why when stake presidents interview potential candidates for bishop, is that they ask about their finances, because the bishop's going to be handling money. You don't want a bishop who's impoverished, because the temptation is going to be huge to nibble a little bit here or there or whatever. And so they ask about your finances, because they are hoping that you're kind of past that, you're kind of above that, and you're not going to be tempted. They don't want to throw temptations on people when they don't need to. And so I don't think they've thought through the alternative there. If they're all impoverished, does that make money less important or more important?
Yeah. But it does seem like I would like to think that we were included just because they're trying to do their due diligence. And in North America, Mormonism is unavoidable in the conversation of religion and money. We'll find out by how they represent us, because you really do have to go.
I think we already know. I mean, the trailer started off by saying there is such and such many 501c3s in the United States having this many trillions of dollars. It just seems like hasty generalization and guilt by association, and like, let's grab the 12 worst things and then say, oh, look, they all share in common this same tax form, therefore they're all bad. And it's like, that's kind of lazy and boring in the sense that it doesn't really give you good information about individual places, but hey, it gives you clicks. Like, that seems to be what this is.
But in their defense, I think that's how you make a really interesting, attention-grabbing trailer, right? So my hope is that they go through and then they say, like, hey, we looked through all of these different ways that church funds were being used. Here's how we think it's good. Here's how we think it's bad. My worry, because it would be so boring if they just go through and they're like, every time a church has ever been given money is bad, and it's all equally bad. Like that would just be meaningless.
I think that's what they're doing. I was scrolling through the Instagram reels, and they have the one of the BYU basketball player, and it was just like, so he gets a lot of money. BYU's a religious school. By the way, he gets a lot of money. Here's a picture of President Russell M. Nelson on the cover of the reel.
So do we want to go over some of the posts? Do we want to go over some of the posts?
I did put a link to that one in the Discord. It's probably a couple up from the bottom.
Okay. Now, before we go any farther, I just want to say...
Why'd you have to let me give him the benefit of the doubt first?
Sorry. Well, because we're all doing that. We're good. Remembers of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we give the benefit of the doubt until you give us a reason not to. So, really fast, before we go, Brad, I know that you said you might have a hard out, and Brittany, I know you said you might have a hard out. So, if you guys need to go before I start diving into these...
Okay, well, let me just get up on the super chats, and then there will be a clear cut, and then someone else has to take it over.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Hit it. Go. Super chats.
Fidget the Crazy says, has anyone talked about the USAID funding the anti-Mormon 501c3s?
Ooh,
I don't know if that's legit or not.
No, but
I'm not sure if it's legit or not. I was looking at them, and I was like, I want to make sure that I'm getting
Politico's coverage. Politico's coverage for a long time could be considered anti-Mormon in some sectors.
Well, we do have something in that regard. There is an anti-Mormon 501c3 that we have some financial data on that we're going to talk about in a little minute.
Oh, you mean how John Dehlin got a ton of bailout money and he's an anti-Mormon, not a pro-Mormon, yet he's using all of the okay.
We got the receipts on that. That's coming up.
Also, there's 2 super chats going to Brad and his hair from Donut. However you say that.
Gidgadona.
Yeah, not going to cheap out here because this one's for Brad's hair gel fund.
I appreciate that.
Then Prince Mustache says, also going to Brad's hair gel fund.
All right.
Thank you,
Brad,
guys.
You've got some loyal
I deeply
followers.
appreciate it.
Yeah, Brad's hair gel gets $0 from Ward Radio Super Chats. Every Ward Radio Super Chat, basically 99% goes to keeping electricity flowing.
Which we have to keep him looking good for all those movies. In fact, guys, I got leaked documents from the church office building about what's going on in Easter.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really funny. And Brad, do you have something to tell us? If you don't, I will. Brad, do I got to say it? Do I got to say it?
This one's really funny.
Okay.
This one's really funny.
Let me give you a premise. I got leaked documents from the church office building about what some of their plans for Easter is. And this is what's so funny. So funny. Leaked documents from the church show just how enthusiastic they want people to be about Easter. And in order to drive enthusiasm about Easter, they're going to create a new slogan. Something like greater or better love or whatever. It's, some slogan. And they've made some very good videos about so leaked documents from the church show how they want this year people to believe in Jesus harder. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what happens when you hack. That's what happens when you hack into the mainframe. Yeah, I know. That's what happens when you hack into the mainframe of the church. You find internal memos about bureaucrats saying, "How can we get people to love Jesus more?" Well, and they're so slow and incompetent at it that they don't even get it out to like influencers and people like us that could like help them in the process, right? It gets leaked. It gets leaked that they love Jesus, and then they're too incompetent to even help them love Jesus. So the first trailer for a Jesus movie that's coming out is here on Ward Radio. And Brad, you know a little bit about it. What is it? Tell me, Brad. Tell me.
What?
Am I allowed to talk about this? I don't know if I can.
I saw your name in the credits. I saw your name in the credits.
I sign an NDA?
Who are you? What role are you playing? And how much hair gel from Ward Radio did make it into that celluloid? Okay, he can't out himself, but I'll out him. Brad, you played a role in a church movie, and you didn't tell us about it, and I'm pissed because I'm your friend.
Brad, I can't believe this.
Look, all I think I can say about this is, you know how you've been making the joke that you want me to be apostle like 2024 or 2025?
Yeah.
So, for a certain Easter message, you may or may not see a certain member of Ward Radio as an apostle in 2025.
Dude, we're official
but an unnamed
now.
one. An unnamed one.
That's it. You heard it here. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and the correlated leadership endorse Brad Whitbeck and Ward Radio. Every message coming from this outlet. And if you buy Indulgence, it's for $129.99. You can
I think that they actually specifically, I asked about, like, hey, do we know which one of us is which, right? For like the apostles. And I think it actually had something to do with them not wanting to like put too much approval on everything, right? They were just like, we care about like one or two of who those ones are, and
there's no unnamed apostles. We know the name of every apostle.
There's at least 10 in the message. Well, the way that it's set up, you'll see. It's really cool, actually. So I'm really excited about this.
Let's make you Bartholomew.
I'll take it.
Can we do that?
No, I was gonna arrange a foot race to see who loses is Peter. But what I was going to say is I'm actually really excited about this because the church did this before, actually, about 10 years ago. And it was with the Because of Him videos that they made for Easter. They were phenomenal.
They were so good.
Those were so good. And I think they're doing a similar thing now. And so I'm hoping that when this Easter message comes out, that it can help people focus in on Christ and the love that God has for all of us, and just help people turn their hearts to Him, and really set apart this holiday as a holy day, right? To remember the resurrection of Jesus Christ, because this should be special to us as members of the church. I think we are the denomination that most strongly focuses on the resurrected Jesus Christ. He has appeared again to speak to our prophets, right? Like, this is an amazing thing. And so, I don't know, for me, I'm psyched about what's coming down the pipeline here.
Okay, and it looks like we have two last super chats to aid you in the process of making us Jesus better this Easter. You know what I'm saying? With your hair gel fun. Brittany, catch us up on the last super chats.
I already did.
Oh, okay. So then I guess I double read the one from, I want to make sure I got it. I double read the one from Prince Mustache.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, you're right. Sorry. I apologize. My error. I was in error. Okay. So anyway, do we want to jump in and check out some of these guys' clips to see if we think it's going to be an Anti-Mormon production? They did go into the Tooele temple with some secret cameras before getting busted by security. You didn't see that?
No, come on. What?
Yeah. Here it is. So I'm going, and on their Instagram profile, you guys can see it right here. There it is, Religion Business, with 190K followers. If you go down, there's, is it a credit union or a church? Jesus is going to kill you. Saturday Thought. Victor Marks. Here's the official trailer again. Here's challenging misappropriation of funds in another Christian church. But here's a video that says LDS accountability demands impact. I'm going to put it on the screen so you guys can see it a little bit better. And the audience is watching at home on televisions as well can see it. There it is. LDS accountability demands impact. And then there's a video of them going to the Tooele temple if I remember correctly. I'm going to find it down here. I mean, I do remember correctly. Here's another video that says Mormon Church, quote, the largest landowner in Utah, Nebraska, and Florida. And,
Illinois.
Yeah. Do you want me to find the one of them going into Tooele, or do you want to play those two ones that we haven't seen yet? I wanted to do a live reaction. It depends on what you guys want to do.
You're muted, Luke. Why can't they just leave us alone? Jeez.
Sorry.
So,
sorry.
Do you guys want to? Yeah, sorry.
I have the link already in the Discord, so we can find that one pretty easy.
Okay, cool, sick. All right, so then let's jump right in.
Yeah, there's a lot of LDS ones in here.
Yeah, there's a lot, and so I thought we could react to them. So, gosh, man, where on earth?
So, not gonna lie, I was actually psyched about this when I saw this. I was like, yes, heck yeah, pardon my language, heck yeah, go after those grifting, religious business paid pastors. I thought this is awesome.
Yeah,
well, because I totally agree. But walking into the Tooele temple,
yeah,
like, what are you doing?
Yep. So here we're gonna play one right now really fast so that everybody can see it. This is a post put up by Luke Hansen, and it's the first one.
I didn't make the post.
You didn't make the post. Sorry,
Don't
you're the
accuse
one
me
that
of
posted it. Yeah. But this is a post against BYU, apparently. So here we go. We're going to refresh and press.
A school known for its strict honor code and religious affiliation is making headlines for a different reason.
They're talking about
Top
BYU.
Basketball prospect AJ Debansa just signed a $7 million NIL deal, making him the highest paid college athlete in the nation, beating out Shedeur Sanders.
Go Cougs.
How can a private university not known for its athletic prowess outbid powerhouses like Kansas and Kentucky? In an interview, AJ was asked,
why BYU? I mean, a lot stood out on my visit. Obviously, Coach Kevin Young there. My ultimate goal is to get to the NBA. He coached my favorite player all the time, Kevin Durant.
Kevin Young also has a very handsome salary.
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
A school not known for its academic prowess, and then they cut to an interview of him saying the reason why he went there was because all these awesome athletes and coaches
Yeah,
are
not
from
known
there.
for its athletic prowess. Dude, there's Heisman Trophy winners, dude. That's like literally saying that production company is not known for creating good things, as there's literal Oscars and Grammys sitting on the mantle. It's like, what?
Are they?
Well, to be fair, those are kind of worth less than they used to be.
Are they? Yeah. Are they insinuating that we? Like
so? Yeah, they're gonna. Yeah, you can just continue.
Well, then also he says the NIL deal. This is the exact deal that I was talking about, guys. It used to be that the athletes in college were restricted by NCAA law from being able to sign autographs, or they couldn't. These people, you could be taken out of the ghetto from a family on food stamps, hoping to make your way into the NBA. And the reason why these kids wouldn't pay their college bills sometimes is because professional athletics in foreign countries, or even professional athletics in our countries, would actually pay. I mean, we're talking about kids that couldn't afford to put food in their faces during summer vacation because their scholarships weren't paying out until school was in session again. So it was totally unfair that though they're making millions of dollars for entire communities, like there are diners that exist selling money and food to people that only come to watch SEC games. There's entire economies that exist around college football in America. There's stadiums that are built and only exist for bowl games. You think the Rose Bowl is there just for, I don't know, the swap meet on Saturdays? That's not why it's there. So the NIL came in and said, hey, it's not fair that these young athletes can't make money. And so BYU actually tries to facilitate that. They try and help you manage those funds, and they teach their athletes economic literacy courses as part of helping them manage these. Like they assign you assistants for your math classes to make sure you graduate. Like they bend over backwards for these athletes, trying to help corral these young men into adulthood. This is a good thing and not a bad thing, and it's an improvement. What's the alternative?
What's the alternative? So Cardin and I were at BYU when Brandon Davies was an excellent basketball player who played on the BYU basketball team, and they got to the Sweet 16. And it was a big deal. March Madness, BYU got to the Sweet 16. And then Brandon Davies, a he made a mistake with his girlfriend, and BYU took him out. Well, and everybody lost their minds. They said, "Are you out of your mind? He's the best player on your team. You're in the Sweet 16. You're mad because he messed up with his girlfriend? Like these college athletes are doing this on the daily at these other universities. We want them to. We give them sorority girls. And here at BYU, you're cutting them off the team." And people were losing their minds. And BYU said, "Sorry, not sorry. That's our honor code." And I saw Brandon Davies in the hallway in the Tanner building and asked him about it. He was a very nice young man. And he said, "Yeah, that was pretty stupid. I totally understand. I understand what they're doing."
Well, also, I love the girl on ESPN that said she respected BYU for saying there's something bigger than the Sweet 16 here. We stick to the code.
Yes.
And you know what?
Yes.
Like, sorry, that is the way.
I'm sorry, what are they insinuating? They're thinking that we didn't give him that $7 million for an NIL deal. Yeah. We couldn't have known. Whatever. We got a top recruit. They're mad because we got a top recruit. They're insinuating that we're funding the NIL? Like, I don't understand.
By the way, why would a young, talented black man come to BYU over all of the alternatives? If not because he saw an amazing culture there. So to everybody that wants to say, oh, racism this, for everybody that wants to say, oh, church affiliation, grifting, too much money that, for everybody that wants to say, oh, church finance, greedy this, don't forget, he's probably scholarshiped, obviously, but even if he weren't scholarshiped athletically, the church would be paying 77% of his tuition. 74 if you're not a member. I don't know. Is he a member or is he not a member of our faith?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay, so 74%, 3/4. So I don't know. It smacks of disingenuous to go after
I don't
NIL
even know how.
deals.
Wait, so BYU's not even paying him? I know nothing about sports. So NIL isn't even coming from BYU?
NIL contracts are like, for example, can Nike, it used to be that Nike, let's just say.
I just need a yes or no. I just need a yes or no.
NIL deals come from the sponsors.
Okay, so Jonah says no. Okay,
no,
so what in the world is this YouTube reel, Instagram reel about then?
Great question. I can't figure it out.
That's literally what it is. It's like, look at this guy. He got $7 million. This thing's a church thing. Dun, dun, dun. And then that's like the whole reel.
To be honest with you,
people are not serious.
Which,
by the way, I was assuming, I fell for it. Yeah, I was assuming that BYU is paying him this money because I have no idea about athletics. I don't care at all. Even then, it wouldn't be a problem because BYU athletics makes its own money. It's not
let me
from
look.
the tithing.
I don't want to misspeak, and I am fact checking myself in real time here. If I remember correctly, it's either here's everything you need to know about NIL according to Icon Research. Everything you know about NIL. Does NIL mean? Where does it come from? Who does NIL apply to? Who are athletes cashing in on NIL? Which have these? And how can I execute on my NIL potential? And it stands for name, image, and likeness. Okay. For those of the people that don't know, it used to be that professional athletes, LeBron James as a Laker, could cash in for Nike. Nike could say, I want to put your face on our poster so people associate Nike with athletic greatness. Here's your $50 million. Well, he could do that as a private citizen and as an individual athlete. But under NCAA laws, as a collegiate athlete, as a student, he was unable to. So they changed the name, image, and likeness laws. Now, I don't know if it's like how California runs its child actor funds where it needs to go to the parents, but then a portion is put aside in a fund. I don't know the exact administration thereof, but I know that it's not like the college is getting rich off it. Like it's meant to go to the athlete. Okay.
No, that's not even what the reel is implying is that the church is taking money from its members so it can give it to top athletes so they can make themselves look good.
Right.
And boost their prestige. That's what this is implying.
Not true. So AJ Debinsta he's not a member of the church. His father's not a member of the church. His father didn't play there. He says in an interview, I want to go there because it's the best place to develop my basketball. And it's a leaping off point for he wants to go there. They think he wants to go there for a short time so he can leap into an NBA career. And yet these guys are implying that it's like some nefarious money that we're filtering for tithing.
I looked at the comments, which I should have done at the beginning. The top comment, 788 likes. I'm a University of Utah fan. I hate BYU. I don't go to church anymore, and this is false. NIL deals are not paid by tithing. It's wealthy donors. So unless you have proof that the finances are tithing based, there isn't any sensational church money is buying athletic story that you're trying to peddle.
I thought this thing looked good. I was excited for this.
No,
religious
this is the low of the low.
I'm so disappointed.
Okay, we want to do another one then. Let's bust out the next one.
Is it just church bad?
Well, let's
Yeah.
Well, let's.
If money, then why church?
All
bad?
of these comments are hating on this video.
Well, let's do one that's not about the LDS Church, just for you to get a flavor on it. Brad, why don't you choose a number between 1 and 12? Because you're the apostle in celebration of the 12 apostles. Because we're going to Jesus better in this upcoming
Bartholomew.
Between 1 and 12, choose a number between 1 and 12, and on the screen.
I want to be Luke because he wasn't there. Let's see. What if we do? Let's go with 7. And while you're pulling that up, I'm gonna catch us up on super.
Okay,
super
hit
chats
it.
here.
Hit it.
So Daniel Wadsworth says, this past Sunday testimony meeting, I shared my testimony of paying a full tithe. I owe many of my life's blessings to the moment my wife and I chose to pay it no matter what. Make it $1 trillion.
Now you see, brother.
Very
brother. Jesus, God sent his son for you, and you're arguing about 10%? I got to tell you, that is such an emotionally leveraging comment. I can see why that made it into the screen. Yeah, I got to tell you, I would condemn that man as well. So anyway.
But I will say, just to back up this comment, I have 100% been more blessed by God when I am paying tithing. But again, to me, tithing is not about the church getting more money. It is 100% about my sacrifice to God. I don't care what the church does with that money once I give it away.
Yeah.
They could set it on fire. They could right in front of you, they could put it in a pile and light it on fire.
And you know, before we pull up the 7th
It'd be kind of cool if they did.
It'd be kind of cool if they did.
Yeah. Then they'd be literally like the Joker in Batman.
And then
you know
the bishop lights his cigar off of one of the bills, you know?
After he rolls it up to snort the line, you know? Okay.
Finn the Human says, Cardin, the master of two-finger typing.
Ah, thank you, my man. He saw me. I'm still a hunt and peck typer. So before I pull up the 7th post, I will say, Brad, I agree with you and Jonah when I say, okay, what's the alternative? And yes, there's a lot of money going into these buildings, but you want to know what? The reason why I don't have a problem with what the church does with it is because of what they do with the buildings. We just recorded a video that hasn't been released yet, in which we show the stat that in Nebraska, the church for the past 7 years has been the single largest purchaser. It's either Kansas or Nebraska, I can't remember, but the single largest purchaser of farmland. We're talking something to the tune of 42,000 acres of farmland for over $250 million. But you want to know what? I volunteer at those church farms. I've gone and I've picked the peaches for an entire Saturday off the top tier because I'm tall and I fit on that 8-rung ladder and I could reach the top of the tallest, oldest trees to get those peaches. And then years later, I had an opportunity to go with my uncle's ward in like Pleasant Grove to the church's peach cannery, where the freaking peaches from California that my compatriots in the Los Angeles stakes are picking end up making it to the cannery in Utah so it can go to the bishop's storehouse and be given away to members, non-members, people that experience hurricanes in Florida, to floods in North Carolina, to earthquakes in Southern California. When all of a sudden the fires hit here, it wasn't FEMA bailing people out, but the bishop's storehouse was showing up with millions of dollars and thousands of water bottles. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with a church spending a lot of money if it is actually putting its money where its mouth is and using that building for good. So the question isn't what's the value of the building. The question is, what are they doing with it? And is it in proportion to the value? The problem is we are so jaded as North Americans and so used to North American Protestant evangelicals using money incorrectly that when we see a $5 million building, we think, $4 million of that's going to the preacher. When we see a plane purchased by a church, we think, mega jet for the mega church, for the pastor and his concubines. It couldn't be, I don't know, maybe it was used to help crop dust a crop. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it was used to transport materials. Like we are so jaded as Americans that I want to give these guys grace and think that maybe they're coming to this jaded. But who knows? Maybe they're not. Maybe they just got an axe to grind, and we'll find out with the 7th post. Anything you want to say before I go to the 7th post, Brad?
We got a super chat if you want it.
Hit it. What is it?
FOG says, I always laugh when people try using the Johannine comma to try to support the Trinity. And this is referencing a conversation going on in the chat about the Trinity, where someone is very vehemently saying that there is clear evidence of the Trinity based on this Johannine comma in 1 John, and saying like no one can ever refute this, when it's like, guys, just literally read John 17. It's one in purpose, always has been. We're not like joining some amorphous blob with God when we die, just like Jesus is praying for us to be one with him, right? So if you're going to understand these things normally, unity of purpose is what makes the most sense by far. So that covers that. Anything else anyone wants to say about the Trinity?
No, we're good. Thank you for the super chat.
I dislike it deeply.
Gosh.
Look, and anybody can Google the Johannine comma. Anybody can go look that up. It's an insertion. It is, remember, the Trinity doesn't exist in the Bible, and the verse that they most point to is a thing called the Johannine comma, which is, by all indications, a later interpolation and insertion into the text. Anybody can Google it. Go look up Johannine comma.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So here we are, Religion Business Instagram page. And behold, in front of your very eyes, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th post is Jesus gonna kill you, in quotes. And they're using the image from our pass-along cards, but I don't know if this means it's an anti-Mormon post or if that just happens to be the most easily searched Jesus on a Google image search. But here is the 7th post.
You not only for messing with the money that comes through here, God is going to get you for messing with his money in his kingdom. He ain't going to let you mess with his money that flows through the church by telling people they don't need to tithe, telling people they don't need to sow $1,000 seeds. You are out of order and God is going to get you. I rebuke you in Jesus' name. I can speak boldly like this because he is backing me, and I've seen him kill people for me. You will die messing with this ministry. Jesus came to me. He told me that he will kill people. He says, David, in your presence, because of the power I've given you, people who come against you, they will die. And I speak and appropriate that authority with boldness. All of our enemies are going down. I don't care if you're a government. You are done. God will kill you. I don't care if you're a judge. I don't care if you're police. God will kill you. I don't have to plan your death. I don't have to do nothing. God gonna kill you.
This video is going to get flagged now.
Whoa!
How many times?
Okay.
I thought it was over. And then it was like Greg Locke. It just kept going and kept
That's actually President Barris, my eldest quorum president, of the last ward linger longer. Actually, they asked him to give the spiritual thought, and that's what he busted out. Yeah. Cordless Mike, he's just like, he was ready.
So right when I wanted to say this is disingenuous hyperbole, you know, there's a pastor
the
on
problem
screen saying, I've seen Jesus. I don't have to play. Okay, now, one of these could be taken out of context, but could all of them?
No, it's totally like that. This isn't that uncommon.
Is he pulling from like the story of Ananias and Sapphira here? Maybe, I don't know.
So what they're gonna do is they're gonna show this psychopath like threatening people that Jesus is gonna stab them in the neck if they don't donate money to him, and then they're gonna be like, and also, Elder so and so from the LDS Church had a really good job when he was 30, and this basketball player is playing at BYU.
Wow.
Same deal, right?
Okay,
Same
rest
deal.
of the video. So we don't say we took it out of context. Rest of the video.
Directly under the presence of God now. God is going to kill you if you don't stop. You women that speaking evil, he's going to kill you.
Whoa! Jeez Louise! Holy crap!
Nobody buys this, right?
What the heck?
That's one way to
People do
censure
buy it.
gossip.
Does anybody buy this?
They literally buy it.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude, that
true.
was.
Dude, there's
That
more.
was rough.
Should I keep going?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, last one. Another 5 seconds? I don't know.
Lord just told me, he says, tell the preachers too who are persecuting you that I'm coming after them. You on dangerous ground. I have seen God kill preachers on my behalf. Yeah, he killed them.
Whoa!
On my behalf.
He has witnessed. He has witnessed this.
Okay, we need to do this for super chats. You better give a super chat to this live stream right now, or we're gonna find you. I've seen Jesus.
Hey,
find these people.
Jonah, we're gonna
Hold it
get
back.
even more demonetized.
Okay, guys, if that section's
Okay.
got to go later, like, I think you guys all see why.
That
Wow.
was wild. That was wild.
Whoa, that is a violation of the third commandment. We could say that is a violation of the third commandment.
Qualifies.
It qualifies. And see, this is why I'm so torn on documentaries like this. I would love to lay into these filmmakers and just say you're a bunch of anti-Mormon, just mud raking.
Sure.
But like, this isn't like John Dehlin or some ex-Mormon that's just cynically grifting, knows that that's not the way the culture is, knows that that's not who's getting the money, knows that all of the tithing dollars are getting spent responsibly and doing great, wonderful things in terms of charity and so on and so forth. To somebody that's on the outside, what is the difference between this cat, and Quake who's saying something crazy in a testimony meeting or something, Well, Quake who has never actually ostensibly said he's witnessed somebody else's physical demise or murder on behalf of God. I don't think not even Quake who's gone that far, right?
Not even Quake, dude. Quake who has never gone.
Yeah,
as far
like,
as
just
this guy, David E. Taylor.
It says, who is this guy? View replies. And it says pre-2008 prosperity gospel was something else. Mike Murdoch? No, that's somebody else. Yeah, who is this guy? I've never heard of this cat. I heard of Copeland, but I don't know who this guy is.
Copeland, man.
Yeah, I don't know who this cat is. I'm looking it up, but I can't see in the comments. So anyway, all right, okay.
Oh,
so
hey. According to the Trinity Foundation, the self-glorified David E. Taylor has lost his tax-exempt status in 2021.
Oh,
really?
Wow.
Oh, something interesting went on there.
Okay, so now let's look LDS accountability demands impacts. We'll do one on the LDS church and then we'll do one on the other really fast. So here's LDS accountability demands impact. I'm going to play it so you guys can see it. It's got a picture of the widow's mite and Russell M. Nelson on the cover. Go.
In 2018, there was a wide range of estimates on the LDS Church's wealth. Members of the church were completely in the dark due to a complete lack of transparency. In the following year, 2019, a whistleblower working for the church's investment arm, Ensign Peak Advisors, claimed the church had over $100 billion in for-profit investments.
Oh, I'm smelling a
Too
debunking
low.
already.
Naturally, this caught the attention of more people. In 2021, a team of accountants, journalists, and investigators started the Widow's Mite Report. They sought out to give an in-depth analysis on the state of wealth in the LDS Church.
Oh, and it's got all these AI pictures. For those listening on the radio, it's got a bunch of AI pictures of a bad version of Joseph Smith holding on to a golden Bible surrounded by huge dollar bills, which obviously, as we spoke earlier in this podcast, is a debunked, tossed out in the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals accusation of mismanagement of funds from the church. Good thing we talked about that earlier because it looks like it's getting invoked here. And again,
This is a different one, right? So Huntsman was suing the church over tithing funds. This guy,
you're right,
is the whistleblower. We may have conflated some of those earlier in the episode. We'll have to double check.
No, you're right.
That.
It's the guy that wrote the book. Luke, come on. He wrote the book saying
no, that's his twin.
Yeah, that's his twin.
Too many.
Yeah,
too many strings.
No, but what was his odd claim? He came out with a book. About...
No, it was that a linguist wrote the Book of Mormon, and then I think gave it to Sidney Rigdon, or maybe it was to
yes, that was so
first.
good.
Wait, this is the
trigger warning.
Smith,
the Lars Nielsen guy with the How the Book of Mormon came to pass.
Yeah, it
but
gets
like the
kookier.
worst twin.
It gets kookier.
So there's the twin brothers, and one becomes like a PhD biologist, I think it was, or bioengineering, something like that. And then the other guy goes and works for Ensign Peak, right? The guy leaves Ensign Peak, but he doesn't want to go public with the report. But he's telling his twin brother about it. And his twin brother gets so excited about it that he's the one that leaks it. When his twin brother told him not to do it. And he leaks it, and now they are not on speaking terms.
Oh.
And then he goes and publishes a book of this whole new theory that he came up with about how the Book of Mormon came up, about a linguist. Oh, and I think he's getting divorced too.
Dude, it's not even that new of a theory. It like relies almost entirely
Brad,
on the Spalding theory, though.
Exactly. But there was a linguist, and he did like National Treasure, and he hid hints and clues in the Book of Mormon that would tell people that it was fake.
It's like the Da Vinci Code.
To Joseph Smith, and then Joseph Smith was going to publish it, and then the other academics would read it and realize who actually wrote it, so then it would debunk Mormonism, and it would make the whole United States more rational thinkers instead of just following after religious people.
In other words,
his plan, he never carried through his plan or wrote it down anywhere or told anyone about it or executed it. So this guy just accidentally spawned an entire new religion. And nobody found out about the secret hidden codes until some disaffected member who's like a biologist and isn't on speaking terms with his twin brother anymore.
Even Jonah is calling this crazy.
This is crazy, all right? I don't lightly call things crazy, okay? That is like Phineas Gage level crazy, all right?
Luke, we need to do a whole episode just on that book. That would be hilarious.
Actually, I didn't read it. What? Yeah, Dan Vogel just did like a 2-part takedown of it. He just ripped it to shreds. And the funny thing was, there's a delay between us recording the episode and then the episode coming out. And so apparently in that delay, everybody in the anti-Mormon space realized that it was debunked. So when Cardin put the episode out, who was it? The girl... He went on like the interview circuit.
Mormonish
he did one
girl.
with RFM. Yeah. He did one with, I can't remember what it was. But they hopped in the comments were like, this has long been debunked. Please don't talk about this anymore. Anyways, let's talk about these rumors of what Joseph Smith did 180 years ago. It's like, hold on. If you're going to hold us to something that Brigham Young allegedly said during the Mountain Meadows, then we get to hold you to lavishing praise on this guy for his new Book of Mormon theory.
Well, that's who they put on the screen was Lars Nielsen. So, the twin. Sorry.
Do you want me to throw down a few more super chats?
Yes, please. Catch us up on super chats.
CT for 3 says angels possibly bringing seeds to the earth during the creation process. What apocryphal book is that from, if there is one? Jonah?
Bringing seeds to the earth?
Yeah.
So that's going to be in the Manichaean legends, the Mandaean legends. That's going to be in the Psalms of Thomas. That's going to be in seeds. Opening the treasuries. Hugh Nibley wrote a great paper about it. Bringing the seeds from another world. The Ginzarba is going to have that.
Well, Zarahemla, actually, a lot of people say, and Jerry Grover included, said it must have been meaning the. According to whatever, I'm going to be butchering this and he's going to get angry at me because he's probably watching, but it means like the town or the place of the seeds. And
yeah.
Also Pseudo-Philo and the Acts of Thomas. So Psalms of Thomas, Acts of Thomas, Pseudo-Philo. And it's in the Manichaean and the Mandaean traditions, which aren't something that's like, it's not like a book. It's just kind of, Yeah, but that's a good start there. That they believe that the angels they even brought earth and like dirt and seeds from another world, planted it. If you read the creation account, it says that the seeds were planted before the rain fell, and then the rain
matter was involved in the creation.
Oh yeah, and that all plants are aliens. That all plants are eternal and they've come from someplace else, and God is taking it and planting creation throughout the universe and spreading it out and stuff. It's kind of a beautiful thing. So,
by the way, when you know that the first chapter and 4 verses of Genesis was written after the second chapter's creation account, and you go back and read it, it's a jarring shift from the newer creation story to the older one. And when you read the older one first, you're thinking, wow, it just talks about a mist that came over the already existing earth. And it talks about people placed in the already existing world. And like creation ex nihilo just does not stand up to scrutiny without the older or the newer addition to the Bible that is one of the most easily proven additions to Scripture out there. Is the 2 creation stories. People have been talking about that for hundreds of years.
There's one story, and I apologize, I don't remember which account it's from. It could be the Discourse on Abaton or the Divine Investiture of St. Michael by the Archbishop from the 4th century. I can't remember. But it's where the Lord commands these angels to go get the earth and bring it back so they can make the body of Adam. And the angel goes, and the earth itself says, no, you can't take this. And so he comes back, and 3 times the angel has to go till finally he invokes the name of God, and the earth relents and gives a piece of earth for them to come back and make Adam's body with it. Because the earth says, if you take this out of me, it's going to create woe and suffering, and you can't do this. And so creation ex nihilo out the window, multiple creators, it testifies to. The earth having a spirit and weeping about something is testified to in the book of Moses that Joseph Smith revealed in 1830. All those themes correlate with modern day revelation. Kind of a cool story. So
okay, awesome. Do we want to do one last post? I'll finish this post and then just one last post to give these guys the benefit of the doubt, and we'll just choose. Do we think it's going to be anti-Mormon hit piece or no? So here's the rest of that post.
Providing sources for everything, they determined there was over $150 billion worth of investments, growing to over $200 billion in 2024. From bonds, awesome, real estate, private equity, and other entities, including stocks, some of which are considered sin stocks.
What?
By whom?
Like GameStop. GameStop and all of its multiple evils. And I'm sure that the church has some kind of it's probably some kind of stock involved in like
a
Marlboro,
beer company or something?
Or Budweiser, like some diversified part of the portfolio that happens to cover some sins. Yeah.
So there's some diversified S&P 500 portfolio that also has 1% of this hedge fund, which has 1% of Marlboro stock, and then they're trying to twist that into, the Mormon Church invests in cigarettes.
Well, so actually, I know somebody who's an investor, and the church tried to recruit him to go work for the church. And he said, no. And I said, what do you mean? Wouldn't it be fun to invest for the church? And he said, the church has so many handcuffs on investors because it only wants to be invested in the right, good, clean, things and non-risky things that it's impossible to do my job. And the private sector is much more loose about it. And so I'm not totally sure what that means. I don't do investing, but from this buddy of mine, he says, the church is very strict about what it is allowed to invest in. And yet it still manages to turn 100 billion into 200 billion in a decade.
Yeah.
Can we not note that that's actually pretty amazing? Like, I want this British voice to be like, and somehow this church managed to turn 100 billion into 200 billion. And if that isn't proof that these prophets are actually seers and revelators inspired by God, then I don't know what else is, you heathens. Go talk to local missionaries.
Hey, so what's kind of funny is I was looking at this. This.
What if they invested in Starbucks?
Ooh, that'd be good. That'd be good.
That'd be bad.
I was looking at these comments here, I'll finish pressing play on this, but the first comments I saw was called Apologetics and Evidence, and they said cult button here, and I dragged my cursor over them, and his very first post is called Mormonism Impossible. And so instead of Mission Impossible, it's Mormonism Impossible. Oh, because we're an impossible gospel. You know? All right, so let's finish this. Let's finish this post, and we'll see what he has to say.
These investments are in addition to their ecclesiastical properties. Church buildings, temples, church farmland, and BYU campuses are not included. In 2023, the SEC held the church accountable for illegally hiding these investments from the public, ordering a cease and desist.
And sorry, some of those
way to frame that.
And
what
many
a
of
way
those,
to frame it.
And they're wrong. Many of those farm properties are investment properties and lease properties that the church owns. They're not. So the ones he's talking about are the farm properties that are used only for growing food to give to the poor. Okay, not including all this totally volunteer charitable work that they do for poor people who can't feed themselves. Like, okay, he leaves that part out. But many of those farm real estate properties are investments as well. So,
okay. Well, I think we get an idea of what's going on here. I think we unfortunately get an idea of what's going on here. What do you guys think? What do you guys think?
This leads me.
Not even, sorry,
go ahead, Luke. You got this.
I was going to say it's not even so much that they have an axe to grind. I think they just have clicks to chase. And so whatever story comes up that's related to the topic of their channel, which apparently is all 501c3s, particularly religion, then it just gets thrown up without much of anything in the way of research. They're not even like anti, they're just entertainment.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah, again, it's like, I think there's so much work that has to be done on culturally cleaning up Christianity in North America, what's left of it, because now young men are coming back to church in droves. There's more young men coming to church than women are. And what church are they coming back to? Well, hopefully it's not guy that says, I saw Jesus kill other pastors.
Yeah, no, that's not where young people are going.
You know what I'm saying?
We have one column chart. I don't know if you managed to
Let's do it.
have time for this card. In the Discord, it says Religious Business is the title of it, and it has 5 columns kind of marching across that are blue against white.
Got it.
On the far left, you have this is income. Okay, this is annual income or stipend or whatever, money earned, okay? Reverend Franklin Graham, these are all $2025. I've taken it from these different sources and updated it to here. And I know somebody's going to complain about not posting my sources. I have those. Reverend Franklin Graham makes $1.2 million a year off his ministry. John Dehlin makes $250,000 off of his nonprofit.
Jeez.
And John Dehlin received almost $47,000 of the PPP loan during COVID for his many, many employees, which I think is like 3. Anyways, he makes $250,000 off of his nonprofit bashing the church with every breath. School district superintendent for the Seattle area, up by where I am, is $180,000 a year. Alyssa Grenfell, according to YouTubers.me, and their estimates can sometimes be much lower, $164,000 a year.
I'm going to dispute that, because in a video, Alyssa Grenfell said how much money she makes per 1,000 views.
Oh, really?
And then it's a little plus addition. You got to leave out the YouTube shorts, because that's the other thing. So only long form YouTube videos. We're not talking about revenue from shorts, her Patreon, her book, her TikTok, her Instagram, just long form YouTube videos with that rate that she gave. If that has stayed consistent over the past year, she has gotten $254,000 from that alone.
Oh,
not adding on the book and the Patreon and the courses and the YouTube shorts and the like 70 million views or something on TikTok that she has.
Luke, you should be a journalist. You ever thought about getting into like news or something?
I think I should, if I was a journalist, this is all speculation. I think I should do an article that's titled something like The Lucrative Art of Anti-Mormonism.
Ooh, that's a cool title.
Lines. Yeah.
Wish there was any way to do that, but whatever.
Anyways, as you were saying, sorry, I interrupted you.
So then the stipend for a general authority in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in $2025, as far as we can tell, is $159,000 a year. Okay. So just to give some perspective about the big mega churches that they go after going down, there's a school superintendent's making $180K. but you have to leave your job and work 7 days a week until the day that you die as a general authority is $159,000 a year. So that's just being upfront about it. Now, also to remind people who might be new, 99.9% of all the work done in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is done by unpaid bishops. Unpaid bishops, unpaid Elders Quorum presidents, and Relief Society presidents who get
unpaid
not a dime and not a
missionaries,
penny.
unpaid Relief Society, unpaid
Nothing.
primary. Think of how much babysitting is done just by the people that watch the nursery for those 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And they get nothing. Right.
Yeah. So, okay. Man,
I should also add that rate is about the amount that United States representatives and senators make, that the general authorities make. And so it's kind of like just the going rate for public service that
but
society has agreed upon.
Well, congressmen make their money off of shady stock deals.
Their normal salary.
Yeah.
Yeah, not Buck McKeon, the congressman that was in charge of the House Armed Services Committee for all those years. When he graduated from Congress, one of his badges of honor as a member of my ward growing up was he was the second poorest congressman in charge of the largest budget. That's how honest he was. His net worth, his net worth made him the second poorest congressman. You know what I'm saying? In charge of the single largest budget, which was the defense contract. Like, oh, you want $50 billion for a better warship? Sure, let's write that check, you know.
Speaking of the way that tax funds get used, right? And what Jonah was saying earlier. I have wondered about this a lot, and I wonder if there's maybe more of a discussion we could have on this on another episode. But it keeps coming back to me. Like the end of the line in their trailer talks about the separation of church and state, right? And how important that is. I'm curious what we do with that now that we seem to be having this movement of people whose church has become the state. You know, like the people who have abandoned God and religion completely, and now their priests are these congressmen and senators. Like, how do you
worship the state?
Yeah, they do. They completely do. How do you account for that? How do we account for that as a society?
We already did.
Good point.
No, but Jonah, you just talked about this. In the video you talked about the underground church in Russia, you brought up a good point that the big promise of communism was that the government was going to solve all of our problems and usher in the utopia that was promised to humanity. And the deliverer of utopia was going to be the state. And the Russian people put all of their faith out of God and into the state for 80 years. And then when the USSR fell, their national identity fell with it. Their golden calf broke in front of their eyes. And the great devil of the West that they thought they were going to beat all of a sudden beat them. And it was like the national identity crisis the Japanese had after the emperor had to surrender.
Yes.
Because the emperor was a god. We can never lose. We haven't lost for 600 years. In our written and oral history, there is no loss. And now a nuclear bomb just got dropped on us? Like what? What, the emperor is surrendering? This is fake news, right?
Right.
So yeah, what's going to happen is what happened to Russia already 100 years ago. When you forget God, what's the quote again, Jonah? When you lose your belief in God, it's not that you don't believe in nothing. It's that you believe in everything.
It's that you will believe anything. You become susceptible to conspiracy theory, you'll just believe in whatever.
Not even conspiracy theory, but just what everybody else around you believes.
Yes.
They call this the social imaginary.
Yes. Right. You're just like, you have no moorings anymore. And so you get blown away this to and fro with every wind of social mode, whatever is the social mode or fad. And you just float. And it's all over places that have lost that hope. And so what Brad's talking about is people are making the state their God. That is the truest thing in the world. James Lindsay talks about this, by the way, Dr. James Lindsay, that they're making the state into their new, into their new religion. And that's just the road to misery and disappointment. And So
Brad, catch us up on those super chats, and then we got to get out of here. Unfortunately, we are already deep into overtime. We're beyond overtime at this point. Why don't you catch us up on the super chats, brother? And then we, if you guys got any super chats you want to get out of your system before we finish, get them out now. Yeah.
I must briefly go through my contributions to the show as well.
Yes. Okay. So hit it, Brad.
So, Crandall Logan. Love the stream. Jonah, as the clerk, you can adjust my record and put my first name instead of last. And then Brad Q12 2028. No. Okay.
Too late. 2025.
Yep.
Yeah. This is as close as I'll get. Now, Patrick Burt, based on tax laws, I understand that all tithing donations from Canada go to our church education system. Laws in the country will tax donations used for buildings, but not education. Good use of funds. Hey, that's cool. So
there was an anti-Mormon hit piece done by the Canadian BBC in which they tried to vilify the church in the same way that the Huntsman case and the Nielsen whistleblower case tried to vilify the church by saying that the church is lying about how it uses the funds. Well, it wasn't really a lie. It's that there was like anti-terrorism laws or anti-money laundering laws. There was some kind of law that said like a religion can't send money overseas for like anything, but it can send it to educational institutions. So basically the church said, oh, okay, well then we'll just divert the funds of tithing from Canada to pay for the bills in BYU, and then the tithing funds in the US that would have gone to BYU will just go elsewhere. So they just did a parliamentary shuffle that is all open source, relatively well-known information, but then of course it was vilified in the media as something it wasn't, because you can't trust Canadians, especially not Canadians with a microphone. So,
that's true.
I'm just kidding. Keep going.
Next up, we got Rachel Hudson. We need snacks in for this one, LOL. That was back when we were watching The Preacher talking about how you're going to get taken out. Leon McBain says, how many persecutors are paid by U.S. aid or similar? That will be something interesting to kind of look into.
Yeah, how much money did John
I wonder
Mulaney...
if we had a journalist that could look into that for us. And
I wish we had one.
Have you been able to verify all that? Like Luke, Jonah, have you been able to verify the tens of thousands of dollars that John Dehlin got?
It's a confusing system to me. And I was trying to look up where exactly it's pulling this information from and what does it mean, and it's still not entirely clear.
Yeah, gotta verify that before we make any.
Well, no, I've seen the dollar
essentially
amounts.
what the basic contention is that Dehlin filed for PPP loans under one code, so like one type of business code, and then also from another one, and got money from both. However, it might just be that you were able to classify your business as both those things.
But one of them was being a mental health professional, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think, so we
need
to look into this.
Well, it's basically you can't declare yourself as a religious organization when all you are is an anti-religious organization, and you shouldn't be declaring yourself as a mental health professional when you're not a licensed mental health practitioner. You just have a doctorate. Like,
hey, he's a doctor. Okay, people, let's everybody call him by what he is. He did an online survey with some of his buddies, and now he's a doctor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He did an online survey with a couple of his friends, and now you can trust him with brain surgery. He's a doctor.
Yeah. So that's the stuff that's going around, but I don't know that we've had a way to verify that quite yet.
Yeah, we'll look into it.
We'll
look
into
into
at
it
this point.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
Keep going, Brad.
Okay. Next up, we got Daniel Wadsworth says, now I know what to say about paying tithing next testimony meeting. I'll give that wide-eyed stare with God himself will call you home sooner. Nice.
I've seen it.
Oh, that's
Next
funny.
up, Nate Dogg just found out that my scoutmaster from my teenage years passed away today.
Oof.
Extra prayers for the Peterson family in SoCal, please, and thank you, Ward family.
Oh, that's sad.
Oh,
More
dude, that's
prayers
sad.
headed your way.
Mm-hmm.
True that.
Yeah, the Peterson family in SoCal. Thank you, Nate Dogg. Scott Nelson, off topic, but did y'all see what Andy Reid said during Super Bowl Media Week?
Oh, we're doing an episode on that, and we were going to film
Guys.
it yesterday. We were going to film it yesterday with Ben Criddlestick, the Criddler. But, and then unfortunately had a little bit of a family emergency today. He was going to come on the live stream or record today. So that's getting bumped till tomorrow. But what was it, bruh?
Dude, what's your favorite trilogy, right? They ask this to the Kansas City Chiefs head, like this coach here. And he says, oh, I don't know. How about the Bible and the Book of Mormon and the Pearl of Great Price?
Shut up. What?
He did? Straight up. Yes.
Like a
Wait, where have you been, Jonah?
All three of them. It was so good.
What a stud.
So
I
good.
love this.
Dude, I'm going to pull it up. I'm looking up Andy Reid Trilogy, Book of Mormon. I guarantee you somebody's already made a meme out of this. LDS Living Watch, Andy Reid says the scriptures are his favorite trilogy. Here it is on LDS Living.
What a stud.
So here it is right here. Watch. Andy Reid says the scriptures are his favorite trilogy. And he's got like this purple chain around his neck. Here's the video right here. It's beautiful.
Even like, what's that? How about the Bible? The Book of Mormon? Huh? Pearl of Great Price. I like them all.
The Pearl of Great Price, and I like, what a stud right there, dude. One more time.
Oh, I love him. I'm going to shave my head and grow a white mustache in solidarity. What a stud.
Dude, is that not Alpha Chad territory, bro?
Dude, good for him. Awesome. Based.
Beautiful.
Yes,
Beautiful.
super based, man. Super based. All right, last of the super chats. Brad, hit it, my man.
Okay, Leon McBain says, Jonah, come play Pathologic.
Huh.
Oh, right. Okay, I'll check it out. I'll check it out. Don't say that on a stream, guys. My wife is listening. Don't. Come on, you can't give me away on the live stream, people.
What's Pathologic? Is that like a video game?
It's a it's a scripture chase game.
Right. Okay, sure. Awesome. Next, Brad.
Next, FOG says, Luke, there's a thread in the Ward Radio Discord about it, I think.
Yes, and I did see that.
All right, awesome.
Yeah, so we'll have to dive deeper into that.
Okay, so are we all caught up, my friends?
We are all caught up.
Okay, cool, sick. If you guys got any last super chats, get them out of your system in the next 30 seconds because we're shutting this bad boy down. Thank you very much. Brother Reed, has anybody ever just interviewed on an LDS podcast Andy Reid?
What a stud. What a stud.
Has anybody ever just like, he seems like a really fun dude.
Yeah,
like he seems like the guy that like if he got in charge of like substituting for Deacon's Quorum, he'd be like, hey guys, come on, let's all just go get some ice cream. You know, if somebody
amazing.
Like,
yeah,
you know,
it'd be
it's
awesome.
like if somebody said, well, I got this Anti-Mormon friend, I'd be like, ah, screw him. Guy's a beta. Let's get some ice cream, dog. You know, like, he just seems like he'd be like a total Chad of a guy, right? So what do you guys have coming up? Brad, you got your, are we going to be able to see it? Is it going to be in church that we see this? Or do we have to go go to the Joseph Smith memorial place to see your movie? Are you going to be in church on Sunday, bro?
I don't know. I doubt you'll even see me almost at all in it either.
But what are all these hair gel super chats going towards, bro?
I don't know. But it's definitely focused on the Savior, not his apostles. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be distributed just like that because of him video. So most likely in a YouTube video, just blasted everywhere. Focusing on having greater love for our Savior in this Easter season. So,
okay, cool. Rock
it's
on.
gonna be cool.
Luke, do we have anything cool coming out on Ward Radio News soon, bro?
I mean, I'm working on the lucrative art of anti-Mormonism.
Ooh.
But also, I just wanted to point out a few things about the church having this huge pile of money.
Hit it.
So if we could go back to the Discord.
Okay.
And see the message from me kind of in the middle of all the messages of all the sideways blue bars.
Okay, gotcha.
Because there are other organizations. Jonah brought up the countries.
Oh, gosh.
And their
this
funds.
Is powerful. Okay.
But here are university endowments.
Boom.
So universities famously have big endowments, just kind of money sitting around to help the university. And so if you break it down in a per student basis, so the current students at the university, you know, being on the bottom and the total money being on the top, you get like a per capita. Princeton, $4+ million per student of endowment.
Cow, what?
What
Yale.
the heck?
Yale, $3.5 million plus per student. Stanford, 2.5. MIT, 2.5. Harvard, about 2. Williams, a little over 2. Amherst, a little below 2. Palmyra, Sophomore, Grinnell, Caltech, all in the 1.5 range. Notre Dame, a little over 1 million. Dartmouth, where Joseph Smith's relative went, a little over 1 million per student. I was in charge of going around to little universities. I went to a little university. Was it William and Mary or Washington and Lee? I think it was Washington and Lee. Little university. Campus did not look that great, honestly. The library looked like a high school from the 1980s. And I just happened to look up what their endowment was. They have like they have like $1.7 million per student. This little university, there's like 5,000 students to go here. It's basically like a big high school. But it's old. It's old. It's from close to the founding of the country.
That's nuts.
And so here we have the LDS Church. You see the little red bar? The LDS Church is sitting at about 12 to 15,000.
It's nothing. Like you
member.
Can't even see it on the screen. I have to like
it
make it
show up.
get big.
Oh, this is awesome, Luke. This is so good. Oh my gosh.
So,
what?
So let's say that you still think this is a ton of money, that the church has too much money. Can you pull up, I made these myself, by the way. Can you pull up the 2 maps of Sierra Leone? And it says church units 2015
Oh, you're
and
the
church
one that
units
made those
2025.
maps. I thought Jonah did this, and I was like, man, what is he doing
I
in the...
didn't pull these from offline. I made these maps myself. The first one is based on my memory.
Okay.
So do you have church units 2015
Yep,
pulled
church
up?
units 2015 right here.
So this is where I served Sierra Leone in 2015 when I got there.
Whoa.
You can see the color codes there. They had 1 stake and they had 6 or 7 districts. I can't remember how many, so I just put 7 on there.
Wow.
Where they are on the map. Let's go to 10 years later. Let's go to today. Have you pulled up 2025 now?
2025 right here. Boom. Yep, got it.
Okay. So all the previous districts except for 1 are now stakes, except in the second largest city in the country, it's now doubled. So it went from 2 districts, which are like stakes except they're branches, to 4 stakes. I didn't even know about the 4th one until I looked it up. That happened in the last couple of months since I last looked at this.
That's crazy. So 10, that's a stake a year.
So
a temple.
like 9 years ago, I was there when they turned the 2 districts into 3 districts. And then within 8 or 9 years, those 3 districts that got formed while I was there are now 4 stakes.
Jeez.
A area that I served in. So when we got there, we were covering what multiple missionaries used to cover because we were starting from scratch. But my whole area, 1 set of missionaries, what we were covering is now an entire stake in 8 years.
That is nuts,
Like,
dude. Consider
and
that
a temple.
Consider that Russia has been open. Russia was opened up over 30 years ago, and it achieved 2, possibly 3 stakes in the entire country.
These people basically have 0 money. You can get a very filling meal for like $2.50 there, depending on how the exchange rate goes. They have like no money, but they need chapels with baptismal fonts and electricity. Wow. They need temples. They need books. They need transportation to the temples, a little bit of subsidization there. Their missionaries all need to be subsidized by the church when they get sent on missions. They pay almost nothing.
Sure.
I think the church has like you pay this much and then we'll cover the rest for you to fly out to the temple before the temple there gets built. And they're contributing almost nothing. So wouldn't it be great if the church had built up enough money so that even if tithing becomes a very small input relative to the output they need to have to, meet all the members' needs on just like a purely temporal buildings, electricity, pamphlets type of basis? This is amazing that the church, before the priesthood was even allowed to be given to blacks, started building up all of these resources. And so now that it appears like it's exploding in Africa, and we have talks from people like Gary E. Stevenson saying, guys, the next 10 years, they're going to be great. Like things are moving and shaking. We don't really see that in the United States. It's happening in these other areas, Africa especially, South America. Back in like the 70s was really going strong. Who knows what's going to happen with Asia in the next decade or two. So having that amount of money that it's never a problem to go and proselytize to whoever needs to hear it, rich or poor, is awesome. It's fantastic, and we need every penny we have.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, dude.
And then other than that, I have a few memes.
Oh, well, let's get the memes, dude. Let's get the memes. Last call for super chats right now. By the way, we got to do something for the first person that actually joins our YouTube channel and signs up for straight up indulgences.
Straight up indulgence.
You know what? You get a free shirt of any choice and a hat and a handwritten letter from me if I can authenticate who you are. How would I authenticate it? Because you don't have to put your address in. I don't know. We'll talk. If you can authenticate who you are through video form, that you signed up for straight up indulgences when you join the channel, and you got to stay on it for a month or two so we actually get the money from it. You know what
It's
I'm saying?
hilarious because the anti-Mormons take it seriously.
Oh, dude, did you see the whole expose?
Did you see?
Oh, yeah.
Can you believe this? They're clutching their pearls, and it's
he's
like,
asking
guys,
for the
gag, guys.
It's a gag. It's a gag. Yeah,
First
you
thing
probably
you lose
think
is your sense of humor.
He probably thinks that the Babylon Bee is real as well. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, dude, the Onion's a real newspaper too, bruh. So, okay. Anyway, memes. Here's the memes. Which ones am I pulling up first, Luke? You're the man of this.
We can do the two arms.
Oh,
you're not gonna like this one. You're not gonna like this one, Cardin.
I'm not gonna like it.
Nope.
Okay, I'm looking.
I'm gonna stand by it. Jonah's not gonna
minute.
like it either.
I don't
He's
like
gonna
this
hate
one. No.
So here we
Is it
go.
up?
Nope.
It says it's up in 3, 2, 1. Here it is. It is the traditional arm meme, and it says Latter-day Saints and Mike Winger fighting church financial and sexual corruption. Mike Winger's total priestcraft. What?
So
just
Mike
because he
Winger's
went
the one
after
that's done
Benny
a ton
Hinn.
of work on Joel Osteen and Benny Hinn, and what's the Rabbi Zacharias? He's
You ever seen Breaking Bad? The guy that owned the guy that owned the chicken shop ended up being the worst mafioso out of all of them too, you know.
We have Mike Winger's records. He actually doesn't make too much more than the general authorities do. And he's actually been on the front lines of these things. Now, granted, that does turn into YouTube revenue for him, but he's getting that revenue fighting a good fight, trying to expose the bad people. And the church is doing a good job too.
Then stop saying that Mormons are the baddies with their finances.
Yeah, then why do you purport to be an expert on us and then say a bunch of gobbledygook?
Here's my olive branch. While I was looking at his Benny Hinn stuff in preparation for this episode, I found a great episode that will be a reaction debunk to him. That I wasn't even intending to find. So
and to remind,
we'll bash him later.
And for all of our new subscribers and members of the Ward Radio Worship, go back and find Debunking Pastor Mike Winger and the Pirate Bible episode. Excellent episode.
A lot of fun.
Recommended for all of you. It was a lot of fun. Mike Winger and the Pirate Bible. Go check it out. Ward Radio.
Okay, guys. I got to book it.
Yeah, do it. I'll read the last.
See you, Brad. You're a
Thank you
good
very
man,
much, Brad.
Bartholomew.
I will I will read the last 2 super chats here myself before we shut her down. But Fog Defense says Cardin put the letter with a signed picture in a frame. Ooh. Is it going to be like that gag gift that you could get of the Seinfeld character in his boxers and his socks on the couch? I can't remember that. And Nate Dogg says, I bought a Subaru recently. I'm officially a lesbian now.
It's all people drive in Portland are Subarus.
Really? Is that like a big thing? Is Subarus?
All over here in the Northwest, Portland, Oregon, is all Subarus.
Oh, dude.
I don't know what that means, but it's all Subarus.
Well, when I was in college, my buddy drove a Mazda Miata, and he was aghast when he found out that the Mazda Miata was the car of choice and most purchased by gay men. And so driving a Mazda Miata, he was like, oh, dang it.
How do we know this? Do people keep track of this when you purchase a car?
Yeah, there was some study that had come out, and apparently in the late 90s or the early 2000s that more gay men bought Mazda Miatas as the car of choice than any other. And he had a blue Mazda Miata. And so, Dave, I love you, bro. And we
dang it.
We had a lot of fun in that Mazda Miata. You know what I'm saying? And I, for one, know that you did not pick up on me while we were driving that Mazda Miata. around Deseret Towers, but it was really funny. And he never lived that one down once that test came out, right? And lesbians and Subarus. I didn't know that was a thing, but I can see why it is a thing because that is funny. So Truth from Earth also says, Joseph hoarded grain. Ask people how much is too much. Huh. I don't know what's he talking about there.
Yeah, how much is too much? When you're building up grain to feed the world and save it from famine, how much is too much?
Oh, I was thinking of Joseph Smith.
You know?
He was talking about Joseph of Egypt. Yes, duh.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Like, how much is too much? You're saving.
Awesome. Jonah, do you have any books coming out before we go? Do you have anything new coming up, bro?
Actually, yes. We've one is ready, and we're waiting to release it because the first book is still selling, and we don't want to cannibalize sales from that first book. But we have a second book ready to come out, and it should be coming out this spring. And then a third book that we're working on about the temple is making good progress. So I'm steeped in temple stuff right now. I love it. I'm reading and researching about temple stuff all the time. And it's just awesome. It just makes my soul light. I hope we don't lose in all this discussion about finances that we are a part of the most incredible institution ever. We've cracked the code of the corrupting influence of money. This is the greatest institution in the world, and we all get to be a part of it. You get to give if you donate or whatever, I get to give my tithing to build churches in Sierra Leone. Heck yes. What an amazing thing I get to say. I'm so proud to say that I'm a member of this church. And there's never been a better time to be a member of this church, as we finally have some money and we can build hospitals in Ghana and do all these amazing things. What an honor. And that I get to have my name on the roll of this church. I love it. And it is the kingdom of God on the earth. Just want to make sure we don't lose this with all these haters trying to drag us down to make things negative. I'm just so thrilled. I have a cause and a purpose that I can believe in and be passionate about that isn't like, I'm going to go sue those, I'm going to make life hard for all those Mormons with my lawsuits and blah, 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 whistleblowing. Like, what a miserable existence. I'm thrilled I get to be a member of this church.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, guys. It's been real and it's been fun. It's been real fun. If you want to be able to support the channel, please make sure that you check out the last batch of the first generation of War in Heaven veteran hats. Those are available at wardradio.com. Also, if you
we do have one last meme.
Oh, wait, what?
The one that Jonah busts up on.
What? There's the one last. Did I miss a meme? We can't miss a meme.
Kind of in the middle. The people cutting the cake one.
Oh, wait. Actually, okay, this is a good meme.
What?
Solid meme. This will be our ending meme.
Where is it? Oh, okay.
Right under the Zoom call, actually.
Oh, here we go. So there's another meme. I'm going to drag it down here so that everybody can see it. Here is a meme. I don't know what it is, but it's people cutting a cake. It's Pastor Jeff, Thoughtful Faith, General Authorities, Seminary Teachers, Ward Radio, and Don't Get Wealthy Off the Gospel. John Dehlin and Alyssa Grenfell. That
solid
is
trying to jump in the picture, but something's a little off.
That is
I'm
really
in this.
funny.
Not really in this.
That is a good one, my man. That is a good one. That's fantastic. Okay, so back to the outro. Thank you very much for hanging out with us, guys. If you want to purchase some merch, please make sure that you guys go to the Ward Radio merch store. We got all kinds of cool hats. We got all kinds of cool shirts. We also have some ties, some cool, we still have a couple of the vials of oil from Jerusalem, and the ties are pretty rad. And we still have some of the complimentary pens that we hand out and the widow's mites. So make sure you guys get a hold of those because we actually sell merch here to pay our bills and don't make fake 501c3s abusing religious protections in America to try and run for-profit organizations that claim to be non-profit organizations like every other anti-Mormon organization out there. We try and earn our keep, and we really do rely on your guys' generosity. Speaking of generosity, if you guys want to contribute directly, oh boy, it's so nice when you guys can do this. If you can give a generous contribution through Zelle, or if you guys can contribute through Venmo, that is another great way to contribute that is very much appreciated, and a great way lately that a lot of people have been able to help out with some of the equipment costs, especially as we're trying to build up equipment to do some more out in the field operations. There is an Amazon wish list under Ward Radio. It's a public Amazon wish list, and if you want to buy some of the equipment there, you will be able to see just boom, it comes straight to us, and we get these really cool little pieces of paper. You guys notice when I give a shout out on screen, that shout out is because there's a little piece of paper that comes with a gift. Oh yeah, here we go. And we can say who did it. So for example, we don't have the Osmo Pocket yet, but we got the Osmo Pocket 3 holder here for hopefully when we go to Mexico to do some really interesting archaeological evidences of the Book of Mormon. And that was given to us by, it says right here, I'll read the first name. I don't want to out you to your anti-Mormon friends. Kyle. Thank you very much, Kyle, for hooking us up with this. Whenever you guys buy something off of the Amazon wish list, and the link for that will be in the description, it comes straight to us, and we will read your name live on air. So anyway, as we said before, it's been real, and it's been fun, and it's been real fun for this and more. Please make sure you guys check us out at wardradio.com.
I built a rocket in my basement. I'm gonna fly it to the moon. This supersonic is amazing. You're gonna feel my sonic boom. I'm flying higher and I'm never coming down. Look at me now.